Welcome, everybody, to Crunch Time, featuring Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and, of course, Gentry, who's back today. Big time. Thanks for watching and listening.
Mike Gentry, baby.
If you're not subscribed, subscribe. I think I checked today. It's about 50-50 now. We got it down a little bit. More people are subscribed. It was above 50. But still, there's a lot of people that aren't subscribed. So subscribe.
Get it up.
Already. If you're listening, leave a 5-star review on any platform you listen to the podcast on, quite frankly. And, of course, we have a good Friday show planned for everybody. A fun one. We have a guest joining the show in about 30 minutes, halfway through the first hour. Scott Bischoff, who, he's an NFL draft analyst. He was a college scout. And he'll be joining the program to kind of help break down the Lions draft. That's what he does. He writes about the Lions, and he did a lot of stuff with our former employer. And he used to come on and give takes. So he's great. I love Scott. We got Russ joining next week. So we got a lot of NFL draft content on the works. And, of course, we have a special guest that I won't reveal yet, but he's expected to join next week. So big things on the horizon. Big things on the horizon. But, boys, tonight, how's everyone feeling? It's Friday.
Feel beautiful today. I had a great day. I told you guys before the show, I was looking forward to today all day long for the show. That's all I could think about. Is I just want to get to the show and maybe, with the boys, man. Shout out the boys.
What were the boys planning on doing after the show, Booner?
The boys
we had a Hype Friday planned out.
It's
going to be sold short now.
Can we just get to the
Can I make a comment on this? Go back to that Steve Wilds thing real quick. And
Hold on. Dr. Detroit, thank you for becoming a crunch.
Shout out,
and then, of course, Steve Wilds.
So can I talk about this real quick? I'm sorry, boys. I just want to talk about this haircut situation. I want to let the people know this. And Steve Wilds, always tuned in. Legend of the chat. The haircut, and we appreciate you donating, but the haircut situation, fellas, listen, this is a thing to where I got this haircut for the people. Like, this isn't just like, hey, I walked up and said, hey, I want this. I've been growing out this mullet for the people. Like, a month ago, everyone said, Booner, you need to go get a mullet. And I did it. So no one should be like, Booner, you need a different haircut. I did this for you guys. This is all growing in for the people, man. I'm a man of the people here.
It looks good, Booner.
Yeah,
I like it, Boone.
Whatever you say, Boone. We'll go with
all
that.
The people, I like to do things for the people. Drink some Kool-Aid, get some mullets.
The mullet looks good. The mullet does look good, boys. But not only the Scott Bischoff, which he'll be joining, of course, like I said, to kind of help break down the Lions pick, but we're going to be going through NFL.com's article, who had the best 2023 NFL draft, which team, and we'll go through which rankings they have and where the Lions are ranked. We'll also get to some, things that are going to happen this offseason, like a surprise cut for the Lions. There's some guys that could be cut that could save the Lions some money. We'll discuss who those players are. Who would you rather cut if you were in that same position? Good Morning Football also came out with the top 5 list, and the Lions are on every single list for NFL teams heading into next season. We'll break that down. Of course, we'll give our own top 5 list collectively as a team. And then, of course, we're reviewing fan mock drafts for the first time in Crunch Time history.
Let's go, baby.
That'll be a benchmark on Fridays where we review your guys' mock drafts. We put out a tweet. You can follow us at Official CT Pod because people are having trouble DMing the account. I don't know why. Quite frankly, I'm not specialized in Twitter, but
I have to switch.
You can post your mock drafts under that tweet, and we'll get to them. Black Santa, $10 first time live. Keep it going, boys. Thank you, Black Santa. We appreciate you for tuning in. It's not even Christmas. We got Black Santa donating money and tuning in, so that's big time. We appreciate it. But let's get right to it, guys. We got this ranking here on NFL.com, and they ranked which 2023 draft class was the best in the grades they gave out specifically. And as you can see, number 1, the Houston Texans, which.
Fair.
I don't think anybody would disagree with this one.
No.
I mean, let's look at the first 2 players. That's all I have to say. Offensive and defensive rookie of the year.
And then Tank Dell in round 3 just to top it all.
Yeah, Tank Dell too, and even Teoto down at the bottom, or however you say it.
Is that how you pronounce his name?
I don't remember. I remember he was a linebacker that was supposed to be something at Bama. Then he transferred to USC, and then that's what I remember. Then he was on the Texans, and he was making plays. Same with Xavier Hutchinson. He was a nice wide receiver, like 3 or 4 from. He stepped up when Tank Dell got hurt.
Yeah, I didn't even think too. Like the Texans, like that's a clear number one. When you have the offensive and defensive rookie of the year, and you went to the playoffs, like
I mean,
like, the only argument I think someone could have is like they had 2 top 10 picks, and that's how they did it. And like a team like the Lions didn't have that, but still, like they went out and got guys, and their rookies went out there and dominant. Like they won every rookie award that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Now,
Will Anderson was like kind of struggling. I don't know if you would say struggling early on, but like Jalen Carter was running away with that defensive player of the year, and then you just seen it switch, and Will Anderson was right at the top, and he was had a good stretch of games to end the year, and even looked good in the playoffs.
Number 2, I was a little, I don't know.
Yeah, this is weird. I don't see this.
It's
one.
like weird. Like
Me
I had to
either.
really think about it. I was surprised, but the more I Joey Porter, Keanu Benton, Darnell Washington, Nick Herbig, and you got Broderick Jones.
Shocked on this one, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
I don't agree with this at 2.
Yeah,
you could push the Steelers team down quite a bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you look at just the starts, right? Broderick had 11 starts on the season. Joey Porter, 11 starts. Keanu Benton, 9 starts. Darnell, 7 starts. And Nick played in 17 games but didn't start. So I would put him up there. I just don't know at 2. I guess we'll find out when we go to 3 here, and that's the Rams. Okay. And the Rams are at 3, which I think the Rams, the only reason why they're up here is because of course, their first they have Avila, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
And Davis Allen, he was kind of out there, but it's really those players, like especially Puka.
Davis Allen.
I mean,
Yeah, Puka really carried this.
I think it's Puka and Byron Young and Steve Avila. I think those are the 3 that but like let's be honest, this Rams team
Kobe
should
Turner
be
too, man.
the Rams team should be above the Steelers. Like it should be flopped, and I don't think the Rams are even the number 2. I think there should be another team at number 2, but I think the Steelers go put them behind this Rams team, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Rams. I mean, I agree. I think the Rams should be right there with the Lions, and then the Steelers can, of course, follow those 2 teams. But the Lions come in at 4. They come in at 4, and you got obviously Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell in the first round, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch. I think those first 4 picks are like they were up there with any other draft. I mean,
dude. The Lions had 4. We talked about it last week. They have 4 guys that were drafted in the first 2 rounds. They're all first-round draft picks. Like there was that redraft a couple of weeks ago that we went over, and they all were drafted in the first round. I don't get how this Lions team isn't behind the Texans. Like,
even at 4, like how are the Steelers in front of them? Just like based off the Lions' first 4 picks, there's no way you can put the Steelers in front of the Lions. Like there's no way.
Because who was the Steelers' best rookie? I think we'd all agree it was Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it might not be consensus around the nation, but I think most people at least would agree just player for player that Brian Branch, A, has a higher upside, and B, had a better season as far as consistency than Joey Porter. And then, I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm sorry, but no, and Sam Laporta, none of those rookies for Pittsburgh are even close to that conversation. I like Broderick Jones coming out of the draft, but even he was inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the first, like I said, the first 4 selections, and like Hendon Hooker, you just kind of mark him as like an excused pick because like there's no way to evaluate him. He was injured, but coming out of college, and then Colby Sorsdahl, he didn't have a great year, but like Broderick and Hendon, you don't really know. So like those are kind of to be determined. But if you just take the first 4 picks, like you could make an argument, like they had, besides the Texans, of course, because of like how good CJ is. And Will Anderson, they're 2. Like,
hey, did any of those Steelers guys on the Steelers make a Pro Bowl?
No.
Yeah, and I mean, just right here, 2 of these guys on this team, the two rookies made the Pro Bowl. One's an All-Pro player. Like that right alone, like you could put let's put them number 2. The only reason the Texans are 1 is they obviously have the two players that won the Offensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Rookie of the Year. But like, there's no reason the Lions shouldn't be right behind them. And maybe it's because they didn't have as many guys, but I mean, 4 dudes who were basically first-round draft picks and played at that level I think it's kind of ridiculous that the fact that they're not number 2.
Well,
did Bucky Brooks make this list? I just saw his name. Did Bucky Brooks make this?
Let me check. Let me check here. Just no, Eric Edholm and Chad Reuter.
And
Bucky
Brooks would have made this. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, they probably have Bucky like weighing in on like some of the things there, but regardless, this was at home. Look at
Ridiculous.
Who was
Yeah.
behind the Lions at 5?
So it coming in at 5 is the Green Bay Packers. Lucas Van Ness, Luke Musgrave, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft.
I mean, both those tight
David
ends.
Wicks.
Wicks, of course.
Carl Brooks.
He's a
419.
Yeah, Carl Brooks.
Dude, I feel like you just say that about every player that no one knows about.
But again,
419. Like, we just have no clue.
You went to BG.
This is a team that had a ton of rookies. They should be maybe a little bit higher up.
The Seahawks are at 6.
This low.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I don't even know if the Packers should be number 5. I mean, both those tight ends are good. Jaden Reed's good. Wicks is good later on, but like, I don't know if the what's his name? Lucas Van Ness. Like, I don't know if that's worth.
He had 0 starts.
Yeah, I don't know if they should be number 5 with that pick.
Just like at Iowa, 0 starts.
Well, I mean, what did they do here? Did they just like take random teams and just throw them on? Like, what are we doing here?
Well, I actually don't mind Seattle because like Devon Witherspoon, he's an amazing player. Jackson Smith-Njigba, I think he showed flashes, but like Zach Charbonnet, I mean, like, let's be real here. Like, I don't mind Seattle at 6. Like, in terms of like volume of studs, like Mike Morris. Like, I mean, I liked him out in Michigan, but he didn't really do anything this year. Jake Bobo, though.
Hey, Jake Bobo single-handedly puts him above
Jake
the
Bobo,
Steelers.
man.
Jake Bobo might. Yeah, and then of course the Bengals. We don't have to go all the way down, but just like where the Lions are, they're 4. I mean,
should be 2.
It's bullshit.
Should be 2.
I don't know. I mean, Brian Branch, I mean, we talk about the ceiling of these guys. Like, they could go toe to toe with any other team in their draft class in terms of ceiling. Like Laporta, All Pro, Jahmyr Gibbs, Pro Bowler. Like you said, Booner, they're Pro Bowlers. Like, they have All Pro talent. Like, that's why I said the Texans, I have no problem with them at 1 because of their first round and they have Tank Dell. Like, I get that, but there's no other team. Like, maybe the Rams because of Puka and of course, like, he's going to be that's an all pro dude right there. But like Colby Turner, Byron Young, but that's still like a debate. Like, they should be 2 or 3. That's it.
I think it just goes Texans, Lions, then Rams, and then you can kind of go from there. I might go Seahawks, but I think it's like the top 3. You know who it is. I think it's Texans, Lions, Rams in that order. And I see ETN there put Rams. I just think like the Rams, like, you did have like Puka Nacua. You had a couple dudes, but I just think with the Lions having 4 guys, multiple Pro Bowlers, and an all pro player. And I know Puka is the same thing, but it might be a little biased.
Draft, not one guy. I mean, I know LA's not one guy. Like, they got multiple positions, but it's not as Puka's obviously top heavy. He's damn near an all pro, but Sam Laporta is literally an all pro. And then you have Pro Bowler with Puka. Jahmyr Gibbs is a Pro Bowler. After that, it's just like the Lions, I think, are just much more top heavy as a draft.
I agree. That's kind of where I'm at.
They had the best second round in the entire. I mean, that second round you can't 100%. Beat. I mean, Brian Branch and Sam Laporta, like that's levels above. That's actually better than a lot of teams' first round.
Yeah, again, I go back to like that redraft that we saw. All 4 of those guys were redrafted in the first round on that redraft. Like, if you have 4 players that are redrafted in a first round, when someone goes back and does a redraft, that's like all like, you're up here all of a sudden. Like, that's like a great draft, and you can't top that.
Yeah, like even ETN, Byron Young, Colby Turner, and Steve Avila are dogs. And then you got Puka Nacua. Like, those 4, like, that's why I said you can argue the Rams. Like, I wouldn't mind an argument there. Like, you could argue Rams 2, Lions 3, but like no other team. Like, and I think Steve Wildes brought it up. Like, Joey Porter, I like him. Like, Brian Branch is better year 1. So like, well, how would
Porter
how do you
struggled early on bad?
Yeah, like, how do you measure? I mean, how do you then Broderick Jones? Like, how,
Etienne brought up a good point too. He said the Lions had multiple first and second round picks. Rams, as usual, didn't have any first and only 1 second. So,
and that's
it's true, but if you go back, then why are the Texans at 1? Like, I mean, obviously because if you're going to go just off picks, it's like if you have picks and you hit, you can't take that away from them.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Lions players, some Lions players are looking to get cut this season, this offseason, and it's not going to be any of those rookies. I'll tell you that. They're under contract. They're going to continue to get better. But some guys that are under contract that could potentially be cut, 2 players that kind of have been rumored that could be cap casualties. Not that they're over the cap, but just save money. Tracy Walker and John Cominsky, the commish, as Lions fans call them. Those two guys are being talked about ad nauseum, just as potential cut candidates. What do you guys think of that for a guy like Tracy? I know we talked about the CJ stuff, and I kind of broke the news there, and we discussed him not being a part of the Lions' future and what that would look like. But where are you guys at with like a Tracy and a John Cominsky?
Oh, this is right to me. Here we go, boys. Let's go. No, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I've been on the train. Let's start with the commish real quick. I've been on the train to rebuild this defensive line from the jump. Like once you leave this year, you have guys you can cut and you have money that you can move on from, and you have guys that are free agents. So to me, and with the commish, it's like, hey, I wouldn't hate moving on from him and kind of cutting him to bring some more money so you can go out and get someone new. I don't see them cutting Commish, though. I feel like he's been a piece that they like, and if you kind of can push him back and bring in some guys above him, that it can help out this team. Now, the Tracy thing is different because Tracy did get benched like randomly throughout the season to Iffy. So I think that's a guy, no matter what, is going to end up being cut. I know he's been here for a while, but I just don't see him. Like if you get benched to Iffy, and like, yes, you might want some depth, but he's definitely like, he wasn't even active. He was a healthy scratch in multiple games down the stretch. So I think to save a good amount of money, I think how much is that one? Like 6 or 7 million, maybe even a little bit more if you cut Tracy Walker. So I think Tracy's one that we probably see kind of heading out. The commish, to me, it's like a 50-50. Like I wouldn't hate to see him go and get some more money to bring someone else in, but I don't see them cutting the commish.
So let me give the amounts here just to get some just clarify. So if they cut Tracy Walker, they would save $5.5 million in cap. If they cut John Cominsky, they would save $4.5 million in cap.
Ooh.
So it's not like they're about $1 million difference.
I don't hate keeping him for $4.5 million. Like if that's his contract this year, that's not a lot.
Honestly, I thought it was a little bit more. That's why I was leaning commish, but and you kind of have more options in the safety room as far as depth goes and guys to switch in. But I don't know, man. I feel like just after everything that's went on, and like Booner said, Tracy missing that amount of time and being healthy scratch, I think you would rather keep Commish as a depth piece. And obviously you sign a guy to kind of slot in there for him every single down. And then you kind of just let Tracy go, and then you use it to sign another safety. Or if you're drafting one, then you just allocate the money elsewhere. I think Tracy Walker is kind of toast, like Chrome said in the chat.
Listen, Jeff, and I'm not even trying to be funny. When you said you were like I thought you were about to say like 400,000. Like I thought that'd be close within $4.5 million. If you save, what would be a total of $9 million if you cut both of them? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but
actually it would be 10 million because it's 5.5 and 4.5.
Yeah. Okay, so it'd be 10 million. This is not disrespectful to either of them. Tracy already had a major injury. He's had injury history in the past, and you can see that if he's a better player. If you're going up in arms about CJ Gardner-Johnson should be out by default, because we can all agree that CJ Gardner-Johnson, as far as personality, you already knew that was coming in. You're going off what he's bringing to the table as far as a player and depth. If you don't want CJ Gardner-Johnson, you think Brad can replace it, don't even sweat Tracy Walker then. As far as John Cominsky, I was high on him coming into the season, and he proved me wrong. He was a shell of himself. It's not that I do disrespect him as a man, as an individual. I don't think he's a terrible player. But if you're telling me we can go get a Brad Holmes contract for a 1-year, $10 million player, I don't know. That's almost like Stephon Gilmore type of money. So if you cut those two players and then you can gain a player of that caliber, a Leonard Floyd, and then just draft or sign guys to replace him, like I do not think either of those guys are anything close to irreplaceable. And I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. I think that's the fact of the matter.
Yeah, and this comment
sounds disrespectful.
Well, I want to make sure we just are on the same page. I want to make sure I find the right comment. Patty Grimes, yes, but it's 10 million in dead cap money too. No, it's not. Like they free up they free up cap space. Like it's just straight, and they're allowed. They have an out for each of those guys. If one more person I want to bring up real quick, Levi Onwuzurike, they could save 1.8 million if they cut him. So, but that to me, guys, like if we're being real, like I know we're all on the same page with Levi, but like for 2 million, it's like you can make a case if you cut Tracy and John and free up 10 million. Like that's like almost another Cam Sutton. Like they paid 11 for Cam Sutton. So, they paid, what was it for CJ? What was it? 1 year, 9? 8, whatever it was. Like that's another, you know what I mean? So it is, I mean, it is a decent amount of money.
I'm just on the thing to where it's like, and I see some people in the chat saying it too. It's like the depth side of things. Like, yeah, you can go get Stefan or Gilmore for what is it, 10 million or whatever, 11 million. But then you're just giving up depth in other spots to where, like, yeah, you can bring in some new DNs and push Kamish back a little bit. 4.5 million, I don't know. It's not that crazy of a number to have a guy that's, you know, your 4th or 5th best pass rusher. When right now this year he was your 2nd best, and you weren't good because of it. So like, if he ends up being your 4th or 5th best pass rusher for 4.5 million, like I don't know, I'm fine with that, to be honest. I'm not going to sit here like, if you just start cutting people and just to go get one dude, like you cut 2 guys to get one dude. I'm not saying obviously like it's not going to matter, but it just in my end, it's like, hey, you do have to keep depth at some point. Like Levi, like it's $1.5 million. I would keep Levi for that much because it's like, that is still depth. Like that's something you do have to look at a little bit, is like, yeah, you can go out and get someone new, but you still have to make sure you have guys to be able to rotate in. You still need, like, a Kamish just wasn't, like, he was probably bad this year because he was relied on too much at the number 2 edge rusher position. Like that's not him. And it's the same thing with, there's a lot of players in a lot of different sports to where you're forced into being the number 1 or the number 2 when you're a number 4 or number 5. And that's what it's been like with the Kamish this year, in my opinion. We saw him last year when he wasn't the 2nd best edge rusher, and he did dominate in games, and he was able to kind of take advantage of that. So having him at 4.5 and letting him kind of take a step back and bringing someone else in above him, I think that helps out a little bit more.
Well, dominate's a little aggressive.
I'm saying dominate as the 4th best. I'm not saying like dominate and go out and get 10. I'm saying be great at what your role is. Like dominate in your role.
Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong, Booner, but again, and this is even a point that we brought up yet. If you have that 10 million, I mean, that 10 million could be very vital to a guy like Jonah Jackson or somebody that like Graham Glasgow. I know he's not going to command as much money as Jonah, but then that keeps that offensive line and other pieces that you want. You can be like, here, we got a little extra money to spend. Not to mention, I do think that Brad Holmes, especially if he's taking an edge rusher and James Houston's coming back next year, he can find a guy in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round that can do what John Kaminsky did this season. I think you could say the same thing with,
and he's tried to get.
Come on! If
name the last couple defensive linemen he's gotten in the 2nd or 3rd round. Broderick
he
Martin,
could also go out and
like,
sign.
What are we doing here?
Like,
Josh Pascal,
listen. That's what I'm saying, because
Josh Pascal, Broderick Martin, like act like it's a
Josh
guarantee.
Pascal's a great depth piece, if you want to say that.
I'm just
but
saying.
My other point is
what
I'm saying is,
who else are you going to bring in to be a depth?
Listen, they're going to take an edge rusher in the first 2 rounds. Can we agree there?
Yes, that's your number 1. That's your number 2.
So
that's
okay. That's 1. James Houston coming back. That's 2. And they're not just going to get 1 pass rusher in the draft, and because you have Aiden Hutchinson, that's 3. They're going to add multiple guys to that defensive line room. And they will get a defensive tackle.
You have already a guy in there at 4.5
inside
million.
and outside. Now you can just get 2 guys that do both of those jobs, especially if you're letting another go with Tracy Walker.
If you have a guy already at 4.5 million that in the past has kind of contributed and he already is a part of this team, like why would you move on to go get a guy for 10?
Because this is the time where you stop, where it's not the past anymore. Like, yes, that's like, you appreciate what those guys do, but you look at the Patriots, man, you'd be like, oh God, they just released Jamie Collins. Oh God, they were releasing guys left and right. And it's not because of what they did in the past, it's because they're building for the future. And $10 million potentially, or 4.5, that sounds like, it's not that much. But when a guy wants 16 million instead of 12 million, he could be a big contributor here. Yeah, that's going to be a big factor in my opinion.
Do you think there's any chance they could just go out, if they do let both of them go, say that they could easily go out and sign a John Kaminsky for around the same price, maybe even less, for like a 1 or 2 year deal too? It's not like it's the end all be all if they both do walk. Obviously they are looked at as depth, even though neither of them did anything towards the back half of the season, but they're easily replaceable. Like, it's not the end all be all if either of these guys, dips at.
Well, Elgato, real quick, thank you for the $2. We appreciate you. He says, cut them all and get T. Higgins and Huff, draft a quarterback and D tackle. But yeah, actually, Mike, and that's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because and Lucas kind of brought it up a little bit too. The reason why I'm not I'm not really sweating this too much is the available free agents they do have, right? Like a Josh Reynolds. I'd like him to be back. Not saying they can't. I'm not saying that at all, but I still want as much money available to potentially, if Brad feels like it's necessary, go out and get a dude, go out and get somebody, or get a couple guys that he feels like is the right fit. I mean, you have Jonah, who's a free agent. Taylor Decker's due very soon. They're going to have to get some extensions. Like, if you could save $10 million, especially for a guy like Tracy, which I'm a fan of Tracy, at least, years when he was here. The first year, he led the team in tackles when they won, 3 games, but still he was one of the bright spots on their defense, but you don't really need him now. Like, look at their safety room. Like, they have so many safeties. And then John Kaminsky, like Lucas kind of brought up, they're going to add some edges, man. And they got some defensive line. They got some depth there at defensive line. I wouldn't mind if they cut both of them, to be honest.
So this is where I'm at with it. I'm not going to sit up here and say I'm fighting for John Kaminsky to stay in Detroit. Like,
You're dying on the hill. You're dying on the hill.
No, I'm not sitting up here saying I'm fighting for that. Like, I really don't care, to be honest. Like I said, I open it up with, I don't care if they cut Tracy Walker and John Kaminsky, be my guest. Like, that gives us more money. What I am saying is this: it's all offseason, we're going to have these conversations that they need to get rid of all these depth pieces so they can get money and they can just go out there and get bigger names. Like, that's just not real. Like, and this isn't me like having a side or not. It's just being realistic here. Some of these, like Tracy and John, probably one of them are going to be here next year, because they can't just sit here and cut everyone. And I get the money side of things, but like, you just can't be like, let's just go out and get the biggest names and leave 10 spots open on the roster. Like, that's just not realistic in my head. Like, I could be wrong. That's just the way I'm looking. I'm not even looking at it as like I'm on this side or this side. I'm just trying to think in Brad's mind, to where Brad's looking at it and he's like, all right, we still have to keep some of these guys. Like, Kamish has been a vital piece, even though he didn't play great, but like, culture wise, like, I'm looking at it in Brad's sense. Like, this is how their brain works: is they look at culture, they look at we need depth, we need pieces, we want guys in the building. Like, they're not just going to be like, oh, let's just cut them and maybe we can go out and get a free agent. Like, no, we already know what this guy's about. So that's why I'm just trying to look realistically. Like, what do I think Brad will do? I think he cuts Tracy because we saw what happened at the end of the year, and I think Kamish ends up staying because we kind of know that relationship. So I'm not going to die on the hill of, hey, I'm going to stand on this hill with John Kaminsky, but like, I'm just trying to think and getting the brain of Brad Holmes right now.
Right. And I don't want to make it seem like we're real quick, Gentry. Yeah. I don't want to make it seem like we're saying cut everybody, but if you're saying like they're going to cut players, like they even acknowledge it. Like, everybody that's here last year is not going to be here. And I know you already know that, Booner, but I don't want to make it seem like, cuz I was quick to go like this, but it's because those two, I think in my mind, if there's a scale of irreplaceable to replaceable player on the roster, they're leaning towards the replaceable,
which
and
is
especially with Levi, if he's $2 million, keep him. And I'm not the biggest Levi guy. Yeah. So like in that case, but I think those guys, they've shown what they can do in the past, and I don't know if they're going to do that again. I don't think Kamish has the season where he has 2 years ago, especially because to what me and Jeff and I don't know if Gentry brought it up, but they're adding more edges. His opportunity is going to go down. So it's like, why not just add depth to a place where it matters more?
So I get that. I just look at it like, if you look at the stack of the defensive ends that they have right now, right? Like, in my eyes, like there's guys on the back end who are, their contracts are done. Like Romeo Okwara, like you can move on from 12, like all these different prices. It's these guys that were at the top outside of Aiden Hutchinson. They move down the depth chart, and you go out and get guys to go in between Aiden Hutchinson and those guys. And I think Kamish is a guy that moves a little bit down the depth chart, and you bring in a free agent and draft a guy that can go above him, and you have depth now. You have a guy who was your number 2 edge rusher last year, and you push him down to your 5 at $4.5 million. So that's just in my head. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, what would Brad do?
Yeah. And Weezy D313 had a comment. He said, if he can get hurt, we still have the best safety room in the league. Keep Tracy. And as much as I do agree with that, I still think they address the depth part of it to get someone to come behind him. I just don't think it's worth it to keep a guy that was healthy scratched. And like Booner said, about Kamish, that he's a Brad Holmes guy, I still feel the same way about Tracy. The team still loved him. It's just when they were overloaded at a position, he was oddly the odd man out, rather. So it kind of sucks for him. And he has always been, pretty solid for the Lions. But when you can go out and just add depth through a draft and pay a lower contract, I just couldn't see them paying a guy like Tracy, or keeping a guy like Tracy, rather.
Well, I think we can all agree, right? Just you got to trust Brad Holmes. I mean,
what would Brad do? WWBD, man.
Yeah, I mean, I trust our good friend Scott Bischoff for all our NFL draft content, which he is joining the program. Welcome to the show, Scott Bischoff.
The man. What's up, guys? Legends. Find new legends. Find other people.
Detroit Lions NFL draft analyst, of course, at DetroitLionsPodcast.com and staff writer at FootballGuys.com. Scott Bischoff. Did a lot of great work. Obviously, at our former employer covering the draft. Scott, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be on with you guys.
We're fired up, cool. Scott. I mean, it's off-season talk, which, I like to be celebrating a Super Bowl, but it's here nor there. But we get to the off-season. We get to cover the NFL draft. I thought, who else to bring on but the Scott Bischoff. So I want to ask you, I know you've been doing a lot of homework and just kind of getting into the nitty-gritty of things and looking at prospects. Because I know the obvious discussion was who should the Lions take and what's the best position group they should target. But I'll ask you, is there anybody that stood out to you that maybe others haven't been speaking of, a specific player that you see could be a good fit for the Detroit Lions, like someone that is kind of off the radar?
Mason McCormick from South Dakota State would be an off the radar player in like round 3. He is obviously a small school, but he's a dude. Interior offensive lineman. He can play guard. He can play center. He was at the Shrine game 2 weeks ago. He just screams. He screams kind of what the Lions look for in players. Go find videos of him. He's a really good football player who I think would step in right away and play, but would give you some versatility to handle either guard position or potentially play center at a high level for you. I know that's a deeper name, but he is a guy I think is going to rise in the process because he's a really polished player and he's a fun player to watch. He's super athletic. So South Dakota State uses him in a lot of ways. They'll leave him on like the backside of a play and then pull him out in front of a screen pass. And he's a center and he's able to do it. And it's just fun to watch. Love that. He's one of those guys. Trying to think of it's all dependent on what they do in free agency. That I'm sure we were going to get there. I probably jumped the gun on that one, but
no, you're good.
McCormick is a guy I would say the Lions should be looking at, and I would it would be awesome if he became a Lion because he would help them for a long time and add some athleticism. If you look at around the league, you look at really good run games. Generally speaking, they all have good centers, athletic centers, and I know the Lions have a center. They have an elite center, but he's kind of broken down, and it's getting to the point where there was some questions even this year at the end of the season. Is he coming back or what's the deal? I would love to solidify that, for now and going into the future. I think that's smart. So that's a name.
Yeah, we're all for offensive linemen.
Yeah. I love that. Offensive lineman, 3rd round. Scott, my name is Booner, by the way, too. It's nice to meet you. I don't think we ever met officially. I've heard a lot about you, a lot of good things. So appreciate you joining the show. I wanted to ask you quick
telling stories.
Yeah. Good thing. So I would tell you a quick draft question here for you. And I talked about this with Nick Faber over at Honolulu Blues, and he brought it up. But obviously drafts in Detroit here, and Brad Holmes, he's been very notorious of like trading up the last few years. And this year being at 29, it's like, what is he going to do? Is he going to stay, trade up, trade back? Do you and I'm sure you have a really good feel already of like what position groups they're looking for, which ones are deeper here in this draft. Do you see Brad moving back or moving up at all in this draft, or just staying at 29, taking a guy that he likes and kind of moving on to the 2nd round?
It's a great question. There is no answer for it because he's done it all. He's moved up, he's moved back. The one thing that not a lot of people are talking about is utilizing picks to go get an established player. Right. Like, the Rams did that for Jalen Ramsey a few years ago. They gave up multiple firsts. They did it before then for Brandon Cooks. Same thing. So there's not a lot of fear to use, some of the assets they have to go get an established player who can help you now. And to me, looking at that window that they have, and who knows how long that window is, I would want them to be competing right now. Let's say, a perfect world scenario falls to them and Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo, the cornerback, is available at 29. That's a great pick. We would all love that. But is he really stepping in year 1 and playing to a level that, where you're comfortable playing him? And I would say it's kind of unlikely. You know what I mean? So if they're gonna push their chips in, maybe you make a play for an established corner or an edge rusher, kind of a player who really helps you a lot in year 1. And I know that doesn't answer your question, but it's a good question. There's no great answer for it. I could see them doing everything you said.
That's an interesting side to it. Didn't even think about going out and getting an established guy in the league.
I know you like that, Lucas. We love that too.
Yeah, Scott, we've had heated discussions on here about that. You're speaking my language when you say that, but you brought up free agency, and you're going right into what I was going to ask. And this is kind of to Jeff's point. Yeah, we all see the Josh Allens, the Brian Burns, the Daniil Hunters of the world in free agency, but I don't think any of us see Brad Holmes going out in free agency and spending that type of money. To your point, maybe in the free agency timeline, he goes out and makes a trade. But who are some true signings that you think Brad will get on a good bargain and that will make an impact on this roster if they join?
Well, I mean, I think they have to address their own guys first. And to me, those guys are Graham Glasgow is a huge part of this. He played really well last year. And with the current makeup of, what they have as a backup center, I think it's almost a no-brainer to bring him back. They have a decision to make with Jonah Jackson. I don't know what they're going to do there. I could see them letting him walk away if he really was going to chase a lot of money. I could see them, thinking they could just replicate, the production of a guard, say in round 2 or 3. Josh Reynolds is another one. I'm not sure what they're going to do with him. It struck me listening to Dan Campbell talk after the season about how some of the players that they may have emotional ties to, they might have to walk away from. Reynolds to me is one of those guys where, he really helped Goff turn things around in Detroit. He was a reliable player for him in LA. I think you got to look at the drops in the playoffs and question it. I think it's 6 drops and 36 targets. It's not a good drop rate. So, I mean, that's, but that's going to inform what they do in the draft. If you don't bring back Reynolds, then obviously you have a need. Assuming that Antoine Green isn't going to step into that role, you have a need. This is a great draft if you need a receiver. This is a great draft if you need an offensive lineman. It's an interesting draft for quarterbacks at the top of the class, but there are some positions where it's a really good draft. There are some others where it's not, not so much. So, and then on the defensive side of the ball, James Houston, I think it's, would you want to bring him back? I would. It's not that long ago. He was a pretty lethal pass rusher in his moments, right? And then, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson Jr., to me, I think you bring him back if you can get him back at a reasonable price. And then a player that I don't know who I thought was great at the end of the season was Jalen Reeves-Maybin as their coverage linebacker. He's really, really good. So I'd like them to bring him back too. And then outside of that, one of the ways that Holmes can handle the cornerback issue, and there is an issue, and I would think looking at this roster, edge rusher and cornerback are the most pressing needs. Kansas City has 2 cornerbacks. I don't think they're going to be able to sign both of them. I would be totally satisfied with either one of them. But you're going to have to pay a lot of money for that. Jalen Johnson's another one. So the Kansas City guys are L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie. But it's a good point that you make about not going out and paying premium money really anywhere. But, right now I think the Lions are considered, a top 5 team in the NFL. And if you go out and if Holmes really thinks that, going out and signing a premium corner to a good contract would make some sense, which would allow them to hit the edge position in the draft and just kind of fill it out from there.
Yeah, and Scott, thanks for joining us again. And kind of like you alluded to right there, this is a loaded wide receiver class. You've seen kind of mock drafts like our friends at Honolulu Blues drafted one in the first round and people went ape shit. Is there any way? Is there any way that you could see Brad Holmes possibly making that surprise pick and maybe taking a wide receiver in the first round or maybe even in the second round? You got 2 second-round picks. So is there any chance that the Lions go out and grab a wide receiver in this draft? And if so, who would that be, do you think?
So if you asked me last year if I could see them taking a running back and a linebacker in the first round,
right.
That's a good point. So I don't think any of us are in a position to say what they think or what they know Brad Holmes will do. We don't. So, I mean, if you're saying if everything resolves itself with their offensive line, which is a very important part of Goff's game, and in some way, shape, or form, or they've gone out and they've got Danielle Hunter on a cheaper contract, and whatever. I don't know what's gonna happen in free agency, but if a player that they really like as a receiver is there at pick 29, yeah, I could see him making that pick if they really like a player like Keon Coleman, a big bodied, pretty, a guy who's a good route runner. I think that's the thing that should guide our thought process with receivers, is they need to be reliable route runners. Jared Goff has told you and he's shown us in his play that wide receivers who are reliable with the way they run routes, he likes those guys and he will get the ball to them. Wide receivers who are not going to work so much. So to me, looking at this class, I think Roman Wilson from Michigan screams Detroit Lion. His backstory, the amount of travel he had to. Yeah, we're going to talk about Lab McConkey. Yeah. Roman Wilson screams Detroit Lion. It's just, are you doing that early? To me, that's a second round pick. And I could, is that a scenario where he trades up? Maybe. Maybe that's something that could happen. Lad McConkey is just one of those guys where he's always open. He's going to be open. And he is the definition of what I just said about Jared Goff's preference for reliability and trust out of the receiver position. And he is that guy. Yeah, for sure. Troy Franklin from Oregon's another one. I think he's a, bigger body player too, but all those guys, I think, I don't think they're round one guys. I mean, I think Franklin is, but like for the Lions, but if the Lions are going to do something like that, I could see it being any of those guys, which would be a fascinating thing. But, a player like McConkey playing on the outside, the reliability of what he does, adding things to their offense that's already super explosive, sign me up, right? But there's other things that they have to resolve before we get to that, And yes, I'm sure people did lose their minds about, the idea of adding a receiver. I'm sure they did.
And Scott too, like we've been having the conversation just about the cornerbacks in this draft, and for me, and obviously you dive into the tape. Tape doesn't lie. How would you rank the corners in this draft? I hear Arnold, the corner out of Alabama, who played with Kool-Aid McKinstry. Some have him as the number one corner. Some talk about Quinyon Mitchell. I like Kool-Aid McKinstry. Where would you kind of rank the corners, and who's a guy out of the cornerback group that you think stands out the most, and a guy that could potentially be there at 29 you like for the Lions?
So, if we're talking about a guy that's going to be there at 29, I think at this point in the process, it's probably McKinstry. And I like his fit with Detroit because of the press man stuff, the physicality. I think both of the other guys will be gone. Mitchell's very interesting. He's very productive. Lots of he's tough. He's a very sticky corner. It's hard though, because the Lions are going to ask. They're going to ask the cornerbacks that they're looking at to do maybe different things than they did in college. So a lot of that is, the physicality of how they play when they turn their hips. Do you want them to press? Do you want them to press bail? Do you want them in man or off man kind of stuff? So, it's I think there's a bunch of guys. There's a bunch of corners who fit, and it's a good class of corners. Just I think there's a lot of questions right now as to who the top one is. But, yeah, for me, it's Quinyon Mitchell's in that range. Kamari Lassiter from Georgia, I think fits for what they do. Even though he's a little wiry, he still fits because he's very physical. Ennis Rakestraw from Missouri is another one. He missed the Senior Bowl. He had a core muscle surgery, which is always a little bit of a spooky thing. But I think those are getting a little easier to overcome as time has gone on. Those guys, I think, are your round one guys. But again, if you're drafting one of those guys, I think you better have a backup plan in place, because sometimes it's tough to see those guys, especially that late in round one, just, hey, go ahead and play and start for us. It's not that easy. You know what I mean? So, right. So, yeah, I think McKinstry would be a really nice fit if that's where they ended up in round one. The other need that, that we haven't talked about, and it's a bit of a backwards way to look at it, but it's forward thinking, is tackle.
Mhm.
And with Taylor Decker getting a little older, is there a prospect in this class that you would draft and, play as a guard and then allow them to kind of the flexibility of, kicking players out and playing them as tackles? Because I think one of the ways that the Mason McCormick thing is, he's an inside out player, like he's a guard center or a center guard. And then there's the idea of, is there a guy who played tackle in college who could start for you as a guard for a year or two and then play tackle? And yeah, there is. And it's BYU tackle Kingsley Suamataia. And he's a fascinating prospect. He is Penei Sewell's cousin. If that, I don't know if that sells you on him.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
I'd love to hear that.
There's a lot of that in his game. You can see it. So, and he's a little shorter. He's like 6'4.5". He's got 34+ inch arms. He's crazy athletic. He could do everything that you could possibly want. But in the future, when they move on from Decker, Penei Sewell's your left tackle, and he would be your right tackle. And it's just a way to kind of solve a current issue as a guard with the guard position while potentially solving the tackle issue in the future. Whether they think about things like that or not, I don't know. But it's just that's another. I would imagine if you mocked a tackle who's going to play guard for you in round 1, people would lose their minds over it. So, but it's something to think about.
Yeah, it feels like, Scott, whenever Lions fans lose their minds, typically it works out the last couple of years. So if they lose their minds, at the end of the day, I think we'll be all right. Before we get you out of here, I want to ask you, because this is something we talk a lot about on the show, is JJ McCarthy and where a situation fits best. Joe Klatt had a mock.
That is great.
No, I'm excited because this will kind of solve the debate a little bit, because we go back and forth with some friends of ours about where JJ ranks. You see it's like fluctuating, right? He's one of the best quarterback prospects in the class, and then you see guys where it's like, well, he needs more work. He could be a guy that you take in the second round. And I know Joe Klatt brought up Seattle because of the Mike McDonald connection. What's been your evaluation of JJ? And I know the NFL goes after potential. Is he a first-round pick to you?
Oh,
Scott?
yeah. Oh,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I the heavy sigh, because I know I'm going to step into a pile. Can I swear?
Yeah.
I'm going to step into some shit here with him. So there's enough in his game, and he's got enough of that kind of fuck you mentality.
Yeah.
And there's enough of those kind of throws on his film where he reminds me and only in this regard, he reminds me of Joe Burrow, like that, where, Burrow got kind of slept on a little bit, and then he blew up at LSU. And then even in the NFL, he'll make these throws that are just like, man, that took balls. And McCarthy does that a lot. Like, his film is littered with those kind of throws. So in that mentality, he does remind me of Burrow. The wiry frame. I think he's more athletic than Burrow. I think he's going to be, 6'2" and he's going to be around 210 pounds. He's going to run. My guess is he's going to run 4.5. With him, it's the off the field stuff that's really, really good with him. The leadership, the winning matters more than anything else. I think some people are going to knock him for his lack of production, but generally speaking, games were over in the third quarter his entire career at Michigan. So, again, I think there's enough throws on film where if you're looking at just, the throw itself, there's a lot of that. And then just comparing him to like Drake May and Jaden Daniels, and, I think there are more questions with those guys, even though Daniels had more production. McCarthy's got some intangibles that you can't teach. And then it's the poise and the understanding of what defenses are trying to do. I would tell you to investigate. I don't know if you guys remember the throw against Michigan State to Colston Loveland, where he zipped the ball by the linebacker's ear. Mm-hmm. That's a throw that he asked them to put in because he was recognizing Michigan State's linebacker turning late. and he thought he could fit the ball into that window. And so just the processing and the understanding of what defenses try to do his stuff is off the charts. So I think he's going to rise in the process. I think he could put on a show at the combine. He's got plenty of arm. He does everything on the move. It's, do I think he should surpass Caleb Williams? No, but I think he should be in range after that to challenge those other guys easily. And I realize I know, but that's where I am with them. So
yeah, and that's fair. I want to ask you, Scott. Can you stick around until 9 o'clock? Is that fine with you? Okay, cool. All right, cool. I
love it.
I respect your time. All right, boys, you got anything for him?
I've got something else here, and I love the JJ thing. Love that. I love to hear that because I've been the one that I've been on the first round thing with JJ. Want to ask you this though, Scott, too, real quick. Obviously, a need for the Lions right now, or at least kind of a depth thing as a defensive end. And we did just have this conversation before you hopped on here about the DNs. And when we talked to Nick from Honolulu Blues, he was down at the Senior Bowl, and he mentioned that he might feel like that this is not as deep of a defensive end class. Do you see the Detroit Lions kind of attacking that in free agency and going to get like a big time D end kind of on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson to complement him, or do you see them addressing this early in the draft within the first couple rounds?
I think they could do either. It is not a great defensive end class. Darius Robinson from Missouri, I think, fits the bill for what the Lions do. He is not a speedy, bendy guy, though. He's more of a physical squeeze defender, but it would work. After that, it's not like there's any guarantees or anything that's really, sometimes, the classes are better. This is not a great defensive end class. So I think Chris Braswell from Alabama is intriguing, although he's got a strange body. So I think he's more of a stand-up edge rusher. He might be more of a fit as a 3-4 outside linebacker type guy, but I think he can play. But I think Darius Robinson with the arm length and the size at like 6'5" and 280 pounds, opposite Hutchinson would intrigue me a lot. Again, more of as a squeeze defender, but if you're telling me they're gonna fix the edge position with a player like Danielle Hunter in free agency and then attack corner in the draft, I'd be for that too. There's a million ways they could do this.
Yeah, Scott, I know we're talking about off-season stuff, but something that led us into the off-season, in my opinion, was that third quarter, and specifically with Ben Johnson, and you can blame it on whether it was his fault or the offense's fault just coming out slow. But I feel like that third quarter for the Detroit Lions, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, was really like people called it the turd quarter. So what do you think they need to do with either personnel or coaching wise? Because I think if they do that, that'll solve a lot of their problems. What do you think they need to do in order to correct that?
I have no idea.
Lions would hire you, Scott, if you knew.
Hey, I don't know. I think there are things that work for them. There are things that don't. It did seem like they struggled in the third quarter at times. I wonder at times if they felt obligated to get, each running back a certain number of touches when maybe, riding the hot hand may have been a better approach. There was also situations where they needed to throw more, let's say on first down when they weren't. But it's a good question. I don't have a great answer. I just don't. It's above. It's a good question. I don't have an answer.
Sorry. Hey, that's fair. None of us do. That's why I figured if any of us were to have some type of answer, it'd be you. But no, that's fair. I'd rather be like, hey, I have no clue than
not a clue.
Kind of going back to the draft, Scott, obviously the Lions have lots of needs, defensive edge, corner, offensive line. Is there any position that you could definitely see them doubling up on and kind of ensuring on some depth? And like you said, with the offensive line, kind of getting a pillar there and kind of letting a guy grow for, a guy like Taylor Decker that is on his way out eventually.
Yeah. I could see them taking, I could see them taking an interior offensive lineman that has some versatility. I could see that. I could also see them taking a swing player. But I think if they're going to double up, it probably would be, my guess, it would be at the corner position. with say like Kool-Aid McKinstry in round 1, and then maybe a guy like Chris Abrams Drain, somebody like that, and say round 3 or 4. He's from Missouri too. I could see just it's just kind of adding talent to a position and kind of hoping that you hit on one of them. But he's done those kind of. I mean, he did it with the tackles early in his first draft. He did it with the edge players in his second draft. So yeah, I mean, I could see him doing it. It's just, to me, their needs are exactly what you mentioned. It's O-line, edge, corner, and if the board falls a certain way, they have no fear of taking 2 players at the same position. I don't think it matters to them. So yeah, I could see him doing it.
I want to before we get you out of here, Scott, I want to ask, because this is another conversation we have that relates to the NFL draft. It's what the Bears should do at 1. And I think by what you've said, I think I know what way you're going to go. But the conversation is Fields versus Caleb. Should they keep Fields versus draft Caleb? I'm a huge Caleb guy, and I think there's a lot of teams right now that would take Caleb over who they have at quarterback a lot more than people think. What's been your evaluation of Caleb Williams? I've heard also he's the next Ryan Leaf, so there's like 2 drastic, like different angles on this. Where are you at with Caleb? And if you were the Bears GM, if you're Ryan Poles, how would you approach this?
I would draft Caleb Williams and make sure that the situation around the coaching was a little more static than what Justin Fields has had, because Fields is going into year 4 coming up?
Yep.
He's had 3 different offensive coordinators. I don't think they've given Matt Eberflus a real vote of confidence for this coming offseason or this coming season. So if they struggle a little bit, I could see them firing him. So then, I mean, if you're keeping Justin Fields and potentially firing the coach, it's going to be 4 coordinators in 5 years and 4 different offenses in 5 years for Fields. And it's like, it's so unfair, and it's hard. It would be so difficult to judge, a quarterback based on all those things. But then I look at, his progression as a player, and outside of targeting DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, he wasn't very good. And you need to run with him a lot for the offense to go. And, running quarterback, it's just a matter of time before they start to get hurt. And right. then you have to rely upon your ability to move the chains, throwing the ball. And there's still, even into year 4, there's questions about his ability to do that, consistently. So if it were me, I'm glad it's not, because I don't want to lose a job and have to move my family and all that stuff for one decision. But, I would be drafting Caleb Williams, getting as much as I could for Justin Fields, and maybe with that second pick, adding a receiver, maybe a Romo Duns player with the 9th pick that they have. I think that'd be nice with DJ Moore to pair with Caleb Williams going forward. But that's just the way I would do it. I mean, I might even look at taking a left tackle there, to protect the quarterback. But, I don't envy the Bears in that decision, because, it's a tough decision. But, I think, and then the other part of it is, what are you going to get for Justin Fields? Right. What is the team going to give up for him? And I've seen anywhere from, a first round pick to, a couple of day 2 picks. And it's like, nobody really knows yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fair. Good stuff, Scott. We appreciate you. For all that aren't familiar, you can check Scott's stuff out. Detroit Lions NFL draft analyst at DetroitLionsPodcast.com. He's also a staff writer at FootballGuys.com. Former Scout Scott. We'll talk to you very soon. I appreciate you for taking the time. We all do.
Sounds good. I look forward to joining you guys again. It was fun. Thanks.
Appreciate
guys.
it, Scott. Thank you.
You guys.
Great stuff.
There you have it. Mr. Scott Bischoff, man, he's good.
Great.
That was awesome.
Great.
I love getting perspective of people like a guy like Scott, who's very experienced in the industry, and like heading into a new draft, hearing what a guy like his thoughts are heading into the draft. And hopefully we can get him on a couple more times even before the draft, so we can just keep kind of learning. I don't know. I think it's interesting to hear his point of view.
Yeah,
we just learned a lot. And I think, in my opinion, the fact what we learned most is like, no one knows. Even a guy like that who's been following the Lions and he's more tuned in than any of us can be. the fact that he doesn't even know, and he's just like, look, guys, all these mock drafts, all these signings, Brad Holmes could do whatever the hell he wants, and we have no clue.
Yep.
And the fact that he's saying it, I think you can learn a lot from that.
Yeah, just like him and Nick, just being able to see like the Senior Bowl and all the stuff that they go through talking to these players, kind of get a view from their lens is just, it's always awesome to do. So shout out Scott and shout out Nick, who we'll probably have on next week.
Yeah, I like having guests on that we learn something. Like that's always the best, right? Like a perspective. That's why I love having that's why we have guests on, right? To bring a different perspective.
Yep.
And Scott brought some great perspectives to, even the JJ stuff. We know he's high on JJ. The Kool-Aid McKinstry love, I was eating that up.
Yeah,
I appreciate that as well.
Hey, real quick too with the Kool-Aid stuff. I know we had this conversation yesterday and today. What was the other guy's name? Rakestraw? Did I keep mispronouncing
Rakestraw. Yep, out of Missouri.
I went back like today and I watched Rakestraw and I watched Kool-Aid McKinstry. I've seen both. I've seen Kool-Aid play a couple times now, but I wanted to dive in and kind of compare them, and I just went back and forth watching, kind of their highlights. I'm a Kool-Aid. I told Jeff before the show, me and him, we were talking on the phone, and I was like, dude, I think I'm a Kool-Aid guy, McKinstry guy now. I'm officially, I drink the Kool-Aid, and now I like Kool-Aid. Like I'm all in on a Kool-Aid McKinstry if he's there at 29. All in. And he kind of added on to it, and he was like, yep, if Kool-Aid's there, he seems like he's a fit for it. So I'm all in on Kool-Aid if we get him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the angle he brought up to the tackle, I didn't think of that. Like drafting a tackle, playing him at guard, and then kicking him out to tackle if you don't re-sign Decker, because Decker's up in a year. Mm-hmm. So, and he's getting over. What is he? 30, 31? I have to double check.
2016 draft. So
he is 30 years old. So he'll turn 31 before next season. He'll be 31.
Him bringing up Penei Sewell's cousin, Kingsley Sumatai or whatever.
Good luck with that.
Dude, I looked him up while he was talking about him. First of all, he's a dude, and second of all, like just go look at him, dude. Like that's Penei Sewell's cousin.
The second he said Penei Sewell's cousin, I was sold. Go ahead. The third round. Go ahead.
And I kind of noticed
the culture, get the Sewell culture going in there.
I kind of noticed him outside other people. He's kind of high on wide receivers too. I mean, he said it, like there's a lot of guys going in the first round, and like I know a lot of people are against it, but I loved watching Keon Coleman play. If like he's the best position or best player available at that time, like I really wouldn't hate it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he's
did you get that picture, Jeff? There it is. I see it. This is Penei Sewell's cousin. Like this is Penei Sewell's cousin.
Is a dog.
Like I want him on our team. I don't know what round he's going to be available in, but bring him in. Let's get that depth in that. And he's going to be comfortable. Like I like that.
Hey.
Told me.
I'm just saying, like Lucas said. He said Penei's cousin. It's like how people say a lot of what you do in life is who you know. I don't even need to watch his tape.
Yep.
I don't even. Hey. Like you got Penei Sewell's blood. You're a part of that bloodline. Come on,
give me him. If he's available in the second round with that second round pick, I will take him all day long.
Come on over. Come play. Imagine the Sewell you got on each side of Jared
for like 3 years.
His jersey by the end of the game, I mean, it would look like you just washed it like that.
Dude,
it would be clean.
That would be unbelievable. Hey, that's why I like having guys like Scott too, because like he just like brings names that like we could sit here and do all the research we want in the world. He's been doing this for so long and scouting for so long and going through so many NFL drafts to where he knows like which guys to look at. He know like once he sees a dude, he knows like I probably would not have found this Kingsley kid and Penei Sewell's cousin within the next couple weeks. Like I probably would have found him at some point, but there's so many players there to go through that I'm sitting here like checking the kid off. Like okay, like. I would have gotten to him like next week. So,
yeah, no. In all seriousness, like it doesn't mean he'll be Penei Sewell. Obviously, like St. Brown's brother.
No, but he could be a dog.
Has never sniffed 1,000. So like, hey, that's not shady, EQ. I'm not. If you come across this clip, I'm just being real. Like sometimes it happens that way. So.
This guy's not a scrub though. People in the chat are saying he's a first or second round pick. Like this, Steve Wilds was saying that. So like, I don't think he's a scrub. I think he's an actual dude. And like, if you can get a dude that's Penei's cousin on the other side of him, like
I mean,
Do it.
yeah, in a perfect world, but
Think
I don't
about
think
that.
we just can't expect him to come in and be.
No,
close to
You have-
base
the-
level.
well, that's the thing is like he said, you have Taylor Decker. It's down the line. Like, hey,
Yeah.
in 2 years, he can maybe play guard, but at the same time, you can move him to tackle if Taylor Decker leaves. Now you have Penei at tackle, and you have his cousin at tackle, and he was playing guard for maybe a year or two. I like that idea. I think I've fallen for that one.
What'd you guys think of his Roman Wilson love? He was giving Roman some love.
I
there.
like it.
Booner.
I like it.
You and BMG. You and
But the-
BMG were eating that
I
up.
would, yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Obviously, if it's later on, you don't like reach on a person like Roman, but I like the fit for all the reasons he said too. He seems like a Brad Holmes Lions type player. So
let's. I want to.
And the thing is, like, I do like that. I like that. I do like that, Lucas. But like again, he might be out. He might be in the first round or maybe early second. So like, if he's not available and Roman's available like a third round, and like, he somehow falls to the third,
No, I'm with you. I wouldn't hate Roman Wilson at all.
take him.
Lad
dude.
McConkey's just the second coming of Adam Thielen.
And
Hey,
a lot of
King.
people in the chat are saying Roman gives off St. Brown vibes. Like, hey, at the end of the day, look at what's going on right now in LA. You have Cooper Kupp, and guess what? They just got Puka Nacua, who's a similar type of player. Like, obviously, maybe a little different, but like similar type of position. And he's going in there, and they're both playing off each other. You bring a guy like Roman in to play off Amon-Ra. Like, you can't guard both of them. Can't do it.
Cook.
He was giving
Can't
Lad
do
some
it,
love.
Booner.
He was giving Lad McConkey some love, and
what
he
I like
said
to
he
hear.
described him as a Jared Goff type of receiver. You know, like just
that.
Can you put the
reliable.
picture of Panay's brother up one more time?
Oh, I just got rid of it. Hold on.
Damn it. King said we should Photoshop his hair onto Lucas.
That would be great, dude.
Let me
It
get
look like I'm selling carts in East Toledo.
wait.
I might do that after the show.
Let me see here. I'm gonna put it up. Yeah, he's a. This,
I'd still be
that's
doing
so
my
funny,
thing.
dude.
he's.
My hair
I'd
on
still be
Lucas.
doing my thing.
I don't want no
Oh,
smoke
he's
with
so
that
good.
man.
Yeah, I'm not.
King
laughing.
is so good.
Yeah,
He would beat our ass with his thumb. Pause.
yeah, I know. Wait,
He really
Pause,
would.
yeah, I get. Wait,
You're gonna use different terminology there.
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
I'm
All
not
right,
laughing. He might be a lion soon. I'm not laughing.
Hey,
Booner's
Will,
dead
hey,
serious.
you guys know what time it is, right? It's 9:00.
Let's
Time to get us some fan
9:07,
mock drafts.
baby.
Mock
Fan
draft Friday.
mock drafts. You know how funny
Fucking
this
do
is?
it.
You know who we're gonna start with?
I see it. Let's
The
go.
great Eric Gentry. Like,
Let's
are you
go.
serious?
Hell yeah.
Like,
Not
what-
the one being drafted either. This is my brother. Not the guy
No,
from
this
USC.
this is
Oddly enough,
yeah,
he
this
mocks
is not-
himself in the draft.
Okay, this is his mock. He didn't do any trades, I don't think. He had Byron Murphy the second as his first round pick, which I actually like. You
Yeah.
know,
Don't hate it.
I like
Don't
that.
hate it.
In the second round, he goes Kalen King, cornerback out of Penn State at 61. Honestly, I haven't really dove into Kalen King like tape. I don't know too much. I watched a couple Penn State games, but I'm not super familiar.
He's a
with
dog. He's a dog, and he's a hometown kid. I'm pretty sure he grew up in Detroit.
Well, I like his first three picks. If actually first four picks, I haven't even seen the others. I like Zach Center. I like Chris Braswell. I like Kalen King, Byron Murphy the second. Because Kalen King in the second round, I like these first four picks, man.
Yeah,
Eric Gentry was cooking. Hey, tell Big
Next,
Bro
Zinter.
he was.
He
Cooking.
might be watching. So if you're watching, Eric, they think you're cooking.
Yeah, Eric. I mean, anything you guys don't like? I mean, I liked it. I like the four picks.
No, nothing. I think he goes about the position it needs very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does. We'll let the chat decide. As we do this, guys, put a W if you like it, L if you don't, and we'll kind of go through. We'll see what the people are feeling. So if you don't like the mock, you put an L. If you do, put a W. All right, we'll go down the rest of his picks here. Jalen Carlisle, safety out of Missouri. I don't know much. Safety, hey, cool. If they cut Tracy, there you go. Caden Wallace, offensive tackle from Penn State. And then, of course, Kalen DeLoach, linebacker out of Florida State.
Yeah.
I actually like this mock. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah,
What grade?
too.
I'd probably give this like an A-, to be honest. A?
Yeah, I'd say A-, B+, and kind of like we talked about with Scott, he doubled up on O-line. So, and that was I'm pretty sure the one position he did double up on. Obviously, got to edge a defensive tackle. So, I don't mind it, and I like getting Zach Zinter that late. Pick 92.
Mm-hmm.
That's good value.
Hey, What I like too is like it's all basically defense, and then there's 2 offensive linemen. Like that's like to me, like a receiver potentially could be a pick that we could make, but I just think defense, fill those holes, address the offensive line. Like I said yesterday, like there's 3 things you have to do: is you have to fill the holes in defense, those 2 the defensive line and corner, and you have to address the offensive line. So I think that's perfect. Is this your brother as well, Gentry?
Yes, it is my brother too.
He gave your other brother a C-.
Hey, they're all tuned in.
He came out
when we finish every draft in the chat, drop your grades from the draft for beforehand. So obviously we'll drop ours, but we want to see what you guys think about the drafts too. And obviously, if you have any, you can still drop them on Twitter. I'll make Jeff put them up.
As well as I did just open our DMs. Our DMs were closed on Twitter. They are now open, so you can message us. We had a certain setting turned on. I know we told people to message us. We obviously just made the Twitter a couple weeks ago, so we just opened up the messages, so you can now message us.
Yeah. So or you could just say W or L instead of doing grades. That's kind of easier. Just W draft or L draft.
Yeah.
So here's actually the next one. I see Sarah. She commented, put a B. Well, we got Sarah's up next. She's on the stand. This is her draft, and there's a lot going. There's a lot of trades going on.
Yeah. What is? I need to put my glasses on.
There's
Hold
on. Jeff, you should too.
Yeah. Well,
get roasted.
I see what you did there. They might change colors on us.
So yeah,
the sun's coming out.
I got glasses from like 5 years ago. I still sometimes wear their transition.
Transition glasses. Crazy.
I'll take accountability. That's an L. Transition.
Oh man.
But
it's okay. Those were in 5 years ago for sure.
It's all right.
So there's no. I don't think there's a. Wait. Let me click on it. Make sure I get this. Okay. So we'll go through the trades. The trades, regardless, we just go through the picks. So 29, she stayed put, took Byron Murphy. I'm cool with that. I am cool with that. I don't have an issue with that at all. Then she took Kalen Carson, who actually Scott brought up.
Yes.
Yes. And
that was via trade as well.
Yeah. And that was via trade. I believe she traded back and got more assets, but Kalen Carson, corner out of Wake Forest, Peyton Wilson, linebacker, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and he likes what you did at 133, Mohammed Kamara.
Big Mo.
Big Mo.
Bring him home.
So, and there's more. Oh my God. Okay.
Malik Washington is a dog. He was going to be one of my next guys I wanted me to break down. Malik Washington is a dog.
Jalen Harold down there.
Malik Washington is like the Zay Flowers and Tank Dell of this draft.
So we got
Harold. I see Jalen Harold down there.
They got a kicker.
She doubled up on corner, Jalen Simpson. Then she took Malik Washington, got a wide receiver, Layden Robinson, interior offensive lineman, kicker, Joshua Carty out of Stanford at 206, and then Jalen Harrell at 207. And I want to make sure there's no more. Oh, there is one more. Eric All, 246.
Hey, I
bring that boy home.
Hey, I honestly, I don't mind it. Honestly, like I like a lot of the players like she took. I mean, we Byron Murphy, yes, Kalen Carson, you got a corner, Peyton Wilson, linebacker. I don't know.
There's a lot of noise about him though.
Is there? I don't know. I'm not a huge and I don't know Peyton Wilson, but hey, if Balnor approves, I'm cool with it.
Yep.
Jeremiah Trotter, back-to-back linebacker.
Yeah, I'm not with that.
That's probably my only. Honestly, I just think there's too many picks. If I'm being real, I think there's just too many. But I don't. I actually don't mind the sign.
You have to pay a lot of these guys as well. I like the players though. Like some of these players.
Yeah. You got. She got some starters, man.
Yeah.
Got some starters.
And some guys that can be contributors as well. Like Mohammed, like Big Mo, getting him. I like that. Jalen Harrell, like there's dudes on that draft. The one thing too, I want to ask you guys too. I was thinking about this with Byron Murphy. I've been seeing mock drafts the last day or so of him going like top 25, like before the Lions pick. And that was like today we put out on our socials Devondre Sweat. I don't know about getting him at 29, but like I didn't realize today even like a Devondre Sweat was the Big 12 player, defensive player of the year, and they had Byron Murphy out there. So like I'm almost on the point to where if somehow Brad can get a little into the first or the front of the second round, or maybe he does trade back a little bit and get Devondre Sweat, because I think Byron Murphy is going to end up going before 29. I like just more mocks that I see and more things that people talk about him. And I'm seeing a lot of people get him at 29. I just think that he's a guy that goes a little earlier than us. So I think I'm starting to like fall for this thing too. And I watched Devondre Sweat today, like trade back a couple more picks or early second round, get some assets and get Devondre Sweat. To me, like, I guess I have to go watch and see like the difference between those two. But like Devondre Sweat, Big 12 player of the year, he went to the Senior Bowl, dominated, was one of the best players there. And everyone was talking about him. And he just seems like a dude that can go out there and side by side with Lee McNeil, and you can kind of trade back and still get him. So that's just, I know we just did back-to-back Byron Murphy, but that was something that I was thinking about earlier today when we did tweet out the whole Devondre Sweat thing.
Yeah, and to your point, Booner, I'm pretty sure when we did our mock, he wasn't there, and like
he got like 3 picks above us. Yeah.
And I think that draft for the most part was pretty good. Most people were probably just overwhelmed on how many picks there were, but for the most part, I think they covered, positions of need and whatnot. Even though the trades might have been a little overwhelming, I think for the most part, it was pretty solid.
Yeah, I will say real quick before we move on, thank you to Eric. That's our guy, Eric Gentry. Hey,
shout out.
That's family. Mike's family, therefore your family, Eric. And then of course Sarah for sending the mock drafts. Good stuff. Guys. Good stuff, man. Like, I think I wasn't sure what to expect. I kind of like it. I like both the draft, man. Mm-hmm. I do. So let's go to the next one here. And this is from, I want to make sure I give credit. This is from Chris Visser.
Okay.
If I'm saying that right, I think it's Visser. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But Chris submitted one, and we're going to go through his. And let me get this set up. Okay. All right, let's check it out. So I don't know if there was a first round. I don't think there was a first round pick here.
He's got a trade bet. Let's see yet. So wait.
No, because there's not even a first in the trade.
Scroll down, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
TJ Watt. Booner's on.
Give me that man.
Yeah, there ain't no way. Give me that man. Booner's on.
I want that man.
Awesome.
Oh, if we got TJ Watt, it's over.
This is a great thought exercise. It's a great thought exercise.
Soupy season.
Wow.
2 first rounders, a round 3, and a round 4.
Chris? Yeah, 2 first rounders, a third and a fourth is that's a
all
lot.
Right, Chris. Hold on, Chris. I
think it's unrealistic, but I love it. I love it, Chris. Chris, if you're in this chat, I love it.
So
just because it's TJ Watt, I'm in.
I like the idea of it,
but I'm in.
Yeah, I like the idea of it. Probably would have went a little different on some of the picks if you're trading for a guy like TJ Watt, but
TJ Watt, I'm in. Give it to me. Come on.
I don't know.
Dante 151 says it's mine, by the way.
I'm kind of like, I'm just sitting there and I'm like trying to process it. Like, okay, yeah. If we're going off the WL, this is definitely a W. I think we can agree it's definitely a W. You get TJ Watt, it's a W. Now, I don't know what you're smoking to be able to think you'll be able to acquire him, but hey, Chris, you're chasing just like Boxing's Finest says, Chris trying to win a ring, man. I don't hate it. Okay, well there.
TJ Watt's a part of the Booner path for sure.
That is part of the. I'm trying to put that's part of the Booner path.
Well, I guess we'll break it down now, knowing what happened to the first round and the first from next year. Okay, so
that's the best kicker in the draft too. I think
we have to approach this like we have TJ Watt. So think about it like you got TJ Watt. Okay, so they draft at 63 safety Kalen Bullock out of USC. He got a C+ for that one. I'm diving into the draft, but I don't know. I don't know Kalen Bullock. I'm not going to speak
I'll
like
say
I'm
this.
Scott Bischoff. I don't know who that is.
I don't know who's available at 63, but I would have gone corner there instead of.
That's what I was literally just going to say. That word for word.
Yeah,
you got to edge with TJ Watt. That's true. I don't know, man.
That would be
Mahogany.
I mean, I would rather go safety, or excuse me, corner, not safety. That's what I mean. But yeah, I mean, but Kalen Bullock, I just checked. He has in 3 seasons, he's got 9 interceptions, and he's 6'3". So he's a big safety, ball hawk. All right, Christian Mahogany. That's who we talked about.
There you go, Jeff.
Hey, don't make the same mistake twice. All right, that's all I'm focused on. Christian Mahogany. Guard out of Boston College. I'm cool with it. I don't know about Harrison Mevis in the 4th.
He's a big boy kicker. He's got a little beer belly on him, but he's got
That's
a
the beer belly guy.
cannon of
That's
a
the
leg.
That's the Booner guy.
I wonder how far he would actually fall. Like, could they have gotten him later? And I don't agree with the running back.
I'm with you, Mike. I don't know, man.
Cody Schrader. That's a Dan Campbell guy right there.
Why? But a running back? I mean,
I'm not saying it's a good. I'm just saying I'm not saying for the Lions, but Cody Schrader is a good running back.
Guy would see no tick. There's no point.
He's like a Jalen Warren.
No point.
Yeah, I was with my man Chris at first, and now he's losing me. He's losing me a little bit. Like Christian Mahogany. Like now we're at the kicker, a halfback,
linebacker.
Center, I don't mind. I mean, you took 2 offensive linemen, like cool. I'm cool with that. Nathaniel Watson in the 7th, like these. Who cares in the 7th, man? Like you could draft. Who gives a damn? I mean, I really don't care. But just off the mate, I mean, you got T.J. Watt, you got a safety, a guard, and a kicker. Like those are your like.
You got T.J. Watt. Just play T.J. Watt highlights the whole draft.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, W or L, guys? Well, I mean, what are we thinking?
I think by default it's a W, but
W because of TJ Watt. Bring that.
It's a W because of TJ Watt, but the rest of the picks are L's.
All right,
I think it's fair.
They feeling it.
Just being honest.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think for the trade, yes, I would agree. But after that, boys, it's
tough sledding.
It's tough sledding. Actually, Brandon submitted a mock draft while he's watching the show. He sent a screenshot of the show.
Let's go.
So let's go.
I'm interested to see this. You
this
better
is
take
Brandon. Dubsky. I'm bad at that. Let's call you Brandon.
Dude, you just put the name up, man. Come on. What are we doing here? Don't even shout out Brandon.
Yeah, shout out Brandon, man. We appreciate you. I definitely butchered your last name, but regardless, here's his mock draft. I like it, man. I think Brandon nailed this one.
Chris Jenkins.
29, Jackson Powers Johnson. Love it. Chris Jenkins. Love it. DJ James, corner. At least just position, corner. Love it. You doubled up on corner, Kalen King, Zion out of Washington and edge. He's actually pretty good, too. I know he's like a hybrid, too. He can kind of play linebacker. He's an interesting prospect, but he got him at 162. Gabe Hall and Anthony Gould.
I like this. This is a W. The only thing I'll say is I don't think what's his name will be available at 29.
Powers Johnson. Yeah, there's no way. He's a top 20
I don't think
pick.
Jackson will be available. But I love it. If he is available at 29 and drops somehow, I'm all in on this. Corners back-to-back, defensive tackle, edge, 2 D tackles actually, and a wide receiver. I like this. Is a W.
Yeah, this is a huge dub.
Look at the top.
Shout out.
Watching our boys. But yeah, I would give this one a solid B+. B+. I like this one. I'm not so familiar with the other players, but overall, I like it, man.
The first 4 is solid.
Oh
yeah, I love this one.
I'm cool with that. What are we thinking, guys?
W.
W. I see some W. So people like it. Jackson Powers Johnson, I think, automatically convinces
Jameis Winston, W.
Eating a W. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, let's go to the next one here. Man, so far, I mean, besides the TJ Watt, that kind of got me it kind of shook me a little bit. But besides that, nothing. These are all pretty solid. These are solid. The next one we got Ryan, and we'll see. He made a trade too. So we'll show the trade. Okay, so he traded the 61 and 92 for 49. So he moved up to take Graham Barton.
From Duke?
Yeah, who's
some noise. There's some noise.
Yeah,
I don't know much about him, but there's some noise.
I've heard about Graham. You get Byron Murphy at 29. Like it. I love it actually. Yep. Graham Barton, interior offensive lineman. Chris, the cornerback out of Missouri.
That was the guy that Scott said they could see the Lions taking if they did double up and drafting him later. So
Abrams Drain. It's an interesting last name. Cornerback out of Missouri. There's a lot. Missouri's getting a lot of love, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they got dudes.
They do.
Missouri isn't relevant for no reason right now.
11-2 this year.
And real quick for Dark Flame, I'd make one, but I don't have a way of sending it into the show. It's okay if you if you figure out a way. All you gotta do is send us a screenshot on our and any social media platform. A screenshot of the mock draft. I know someone messaged me on Facebook, messaged the account on Facebook and sent like the draft, like he typed it out. Try and send the graphic. It's just easier and it looks better. So if you fill it out, just screenshot it on your phone and send it, and we'll take care of the rest. But just looking at what he did here, corner at 73, they got a wide receiver at 163. I mean, they got a kicker, Joshua Carty again. There you go. Kicker at 207. I like 207 a lot better. I do.
Oh, yeah.
Drafted a kicker. I don't mind this either. You got the trade. You traded up. If you trade up for an interior offensive lineman, which, again, you can't count Brad out for that, like, he must be a stud, man. He better be a stud. Dark Flame, also, you don't have social media, you can email us. You can email us if you want to. MySpace.
That'll work.
What is our email? I don't even know. Is it?
I'll put it in the chat.
All right. I was like, I don't remember off the top of my head.
You guys can send it to that email, and I'll try to get them out. So we can try and work with you. I want to make sure everyone's involved here. So if you don't have social media, we can still make it work. But yeah, what do you guys think?
I give it a W. Not an overwhelming W, but I think it fits the needs of what the Lions need to walk out with. So I wouldn't be.
Can you go down a little?
Yeah, I got you.
I just want to ask you guys' thoughts on the safety thing. I've seen a couple drafts, a couple people take safety now. Like, is that like if we do move on from CJ and Tracy, are we trusting like, hey, let's just draft? Like, I know obviously that's late, but I've seen it a couple times.
If Brad drafts a third-round defensive back, I trust it.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and they can even get a guy in free agency for cheap that wants to go chase a ring real quick. Like, I know he didn't look great throughout the whole season, but like Tayshaun Gibson's balling out from San Francisco right now on like $4 million, and he'd be a solid third string player. I mean, Deshaun Elliott was here on what, $4 million, $5 million for 1 year? Might even been less than that. No, he was very solid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would give that one a W, but it's because of Byron and Graham Barton.
Yeah.
Like I'm not very familiar with the rest of the players. So I
would say again, like if you get Byron Murphy at 29, I think that's no matter what an automatic. Like that's a win in the first round.
Grab.
Just because I don't think he's going to get there, and if he does get there in the draft, and if he does, he might get there. Honestly, he might get there, and that's a need of yours, his defensive line. So that just value wise, I think it's a good pick. I'm starting to fall more in love with getting a Byron Murphy or Tavondre Sweat if you can get to the front of the second.
Yeah. What kind of movie? Chat, was that a W? Was that a W, chat?
Yeah, they were dropped. They said lowercase W.
A lot of lowercase W's.
Yeah, well, I would give that one a W because you nailed it. I think you're taking Byron Murphy, automatic W in my book. Next one we got is from Trevor Martin. He sent us his mock. I'll put it up here on the screen. We can react to it. There you go. Another Jackson Powers Johnson pick at 38. Wait, hold on.
How
I'm throwing the Big Mo at 162.
Tavondre Sweat at 61.
Yeah, hold on.
I'm throwing the challenge. Like sliders are on for this.
Yeah, okay. I didn't see the number. This is unrealistic. I'm sorry, Trevor. This one does not.
Roman Wilson and like what is that, the fourth round? I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Darius Robinson at 73.
Yeah.
Some trade though, you got a Tennessee. Hey, first of all, some trade you got a Tennessee first round pick in 2025.
Yeah, but this draft is like not even realistic, man. I don't know.
I don't know how he got.
I mean, this is a big dub. If this happened, if somehow this all fell like this, I would run out of the draft. I would be.
If those two first players fall to those picks, that would be a W. But it's never.
Roman at 100. If Trevor, you come out of that draft with a Tennessee first round pick in 2025. Like Tennessee's not going to be great the next 2 years. Like I love that, dude. Like you basically just got a top 15 pick.
So yeah, Trevor, listen.
Shout out Will Levis.
You're probably a cool individual.
Dude, just say it, dude. Like shout out Trevor. You're a dog, man.
But that draft is unrealistic. So it's hard to I'm gonna gas it up, yeah, but it's like it's not gonna happen. So
he was kind of a dog.
I'm gonna give him an L just because he had his settings messed up. He probably had the settings of like it, had guys falling, probably guys going in the first round that shouldn't go in the first
Got
round.
his
Probably
Brad
just
Holmes
random.
bag.
Get your settings right, Trevor, and then resend it. All right, and then we'll
Got
review
his
it.
Brad
next
Holmes
Friday.
back next week.
bag.
Yeah, we got you. All right, the next one. This is from Ed. Shout out to Ed, by the way.
Ooh.
Shout out.
He did a trade. He traded up, got pick 20, traded 29 and 92, and then, oh my God.
Sent everything in the kitchen sink for the second
For a
rounder.
second round pick, yeah.
Wait,
Three
I love that.
sevens, guess
I
it's
love
really not
trading
that
up.
much.
I love trading up.
3 sevens.
He's committed to the
Yeah,
the
3.
process.
Wait, he moved up.
One
Wait,
one song.
3 sevens.
wait,
Five
no,
sevens,
he
three
moved back.
sevens.
He moved back one and got one pick.
Oh, that is he moved
My
back
man
and
got
got a
everything in the
5.
kitchen sink for
One pick.
literally moving back
Man was
one
cooking.
pick.
Hey man,
Jesus.
hey Brad Holmes, he's
And
teaching
Brad
a lot
gets
of
like
people.
3 sevens. Like this man, let him cook.
Like,
couple Jamar Jeffersons.
one man's
I-
trash is another man's treasure.
No, honestly though, in all seriousness, like I don't.
Oh,
Hey, if you want
man.
to, if you move back one pick
Jamar
and get some
Jefferson.
picks, like cool, I don't mind it. I like trading up though. I do. You trade
Love
up to
that.
20,
Those
do you
seventh
think
round
that's
picks can rebuild the special teams unit if they ever need.
Or
Long
you can just
snapper,
trade that. You
kicker,
can use them to
get a
get
trade
a gunner
again.
out there.
get a bunch of germs. That's,
Dude,
man,
just take those sevens and move up and trade up somewhere else.
This isn't
Yeah.
Madden, Booner. Keep your head in reality.
well, I only can see he didn't get the full like screenshot. We only have the first 4 picks, which is cool. We'll just evaluate those.
Realistic.
You didn't want to
Yeah.
see the 7th rounders?
Yeah, I don't have it. I want to see it. Now I'm intrigued. Like, who'd you take with those 3 sevens? Or 2 sevens? But the first 4 though, hey, I like it. Jackson Powers
Yeah.
Johnson, Kalen Carson, Brandon Fisk. I think it's
Fisk.
Fisk.
Luke
Yeah,
Kamara.
Braden Fisk, and then Mohamed Kamara.
Big Mo.
I like this. You know what's cool
I don't
about this
mind those
draft
picks.
is that getting Jackson Powers Johnson at 20 is realistic. Like that's probably where he's going to go. So like if people are taking him at 29, like just know you're going to have to trade up to get him. So I think that's like the most realistic part of this draft is like he made a move, traded up to 20 and took the pick.
Definitely a W draft, though, especially with all those sevens.
I think this is this Eduardo? Is this you? Is this you, Eduardo?
I don't think it is.
Oh, okay.
Oh, maybe it is. Wait, whose draft was it?
He said he
it-
goes by Ed.
Is this
Okay,
Ed?
well, I'm not sure if it's you directly, Eduardo, but if it is, and we're talking, we were kind of laughing
Yeah, he
about
said it's
7.
Oh, the
he said
7th
it
round
too.
picks. No, we love
It was
Eduardo.
just different. It was
Yeah.
You trade back one pick for
And he,
like
he
a
said,
million sevens.
and I respect the only focused on 4 picks. That you know what? That's why I like you, Eduardo.
I
'cause
love
you
it,
get,
yeah.
we get right to what's important. All right, the first 4. I love this. I mean,
Yeah, I'm all in.
defensive
W.
line,
I like those
interior
4
offensive
picks for
line.
sure.
Yeah,
I get dub.
that's a W, man.
Big dub.
That's a big W from Eduardo, man. Shout out to you. We'll give him a. You know what? Hold on.
Shout out Eduardo.
Let's see what we got here. We'll give him we'll give him a little air horn. How about that?
Oh,
Here.
hell yeah.
Jeff cooking. Mohamed
we'll
Kamara is
get-
my favorite pick.
We'll give him a little air horn. Yeah. I honestly I just remembered I got the air horn. So now
Hey, can we get the Gentry? Can we get that one drop, the death drop?
Oh, the RIP.
Yeah.
We might have to steal
No,
it.
we'd love to have
I mean,
that.
I
That'd be
made that
great.
drop anyways. That was me.
That'd be
Now
great
it's
for a
just being
mock.
carried on without me.
they took your drop and said
That's
thanks.
fucked up. I'm just kidding. Man, we'll have to bring that one back.
Want
That's it.
royalties?
Yep.
Every time they
So-
use it.
It's fact.
So the next one we got here is from Keaton. Shout out to Keaton, man.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Keaton gave us his mock. Here's his mock draft. Byron Murphy at 29, Chris Jenkins at 68, Max Melton at 73, and Mikey Sanderstill at 92. I love this one. This is another
Big
like-
dub. I love this.
I like
one.
it, assuming that you address edge and the free agency and whatnot. But yeah, those are all solid picks. Max Melton, dog. Chris Jenkins, great. Byron Murphy, obviously Mikey at the last pick, can't beat it.
Nike.
I'm going to say this with this. If you get this draft and you re-sign Jonah Jackson and as well as Graham Glasgow, and then you have this draft, that's a dub of an offseason, in my opinion. And then you also address the edge. So you bring those guys back and address the edge in free agency, or maybe you use, like Scott said, you use some picks to go out there and trade for, a big time defensive end, or
Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, like you make him move. Hassan, he's not going anywhere. You already heard him say that.
I'm messing with you.
Give up on that one.
I'm trolling you, bro.
The only thing I could critique is I'm not a fan of the back-to-back interior defensive lineman. Like I would, if you're gonna go Byron Murphy, then I think it takes, to me, Chris Jenkins off. Like you don't go Chris Jenkins. That's just my opinion. I think you'd go.
That's fair, actually. I didn't realize it's back-to-back tackles and back-to-back corners. So you're doubling up on two positions, which is
that's why I said you address edge and free agency. It might not look so bad, but
yeah, and you're right, Mike. I guess. I mean, yeah. Because you got to think, like, Aleem McNeil's a starter for the future, so that leaves one more extra defensive tackle spot. They'll play two, like they had Benito, and it's like Byron, and then you got Broderick. It's like we don't know with him. Now, I'm just saying, like, he's still kind of an unfinished. There's like you just got they got like a jam at defensive tackle. You know what I mean?
I mean, so did Philly when they were dominant. Same thing with San Fran. I'm not saying do it, but I'm just saying it's a luxury if you do that. Because to Jeff's point, I think either way, like the Lions, they walk out undoubtedly a better team with this draft.
And I'm not saying they're bad players. I mean,
I get what you're saying though.
Like MP says, Jenkins blew up Bama's O-line. Like, yeah, Chris Jenkins, man, he's good. And Byron Murphy, we know what he is. So I don't hate the players. I wonder if Brad would do like, back-to-back defensive tackles. But regardless, I like the draft, guys. I'd give this one a W. It's a W.
Yeah,
it's a W.
Sure.
That guy up north, Jeff, you guys doing mocks on Fridays? I'll try getting one emailed to you guys next week. These are not the best, in my opinion. Yeah, we are doing them on Fridays, and maybe we'll do them throughout the week. I just don't want to I want to make sure it's built up. Like Fridays, we got like a whole week's worth sent to us. Maybe we can, if we get a lot, we can do them at the end of every show. Pretty much depends on how much we get. But yeah, of course. I mean, send us your mock draft, dude. We'll review it. I got you. All right, well that'll do it for this one, guys. I think I would give this one a W, despite not being a big fan of the back-to-back defensive tackles. Like I think you got to give him a W. No TJ Watt, but it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fair.
That Ed Booner ready to run through a wall.
I was ready to go. I almost threw this desk over.
I don't. Yeah, this name I'm just gonna show. I don't know how to approach this one. Big Juntao. Yeah, I think that's
the dude from Rush Hour. Great
and
movie.
There you go. The Big Juntao. This is his.
Wow.
He traded back.
Okay.
Which I actually don't mind. I mean, you got a third round pick next year, fifth rounder this year, and you get 34. You move back 5 spots, and you get TJ Tampa, corner out of Iowa State.
I'm a big TJ Tampa guy.
Yeah,
I was about to say that's Lucas's dude. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you know what? I like this one. And then you get Brandon Fisk, defensive lineman, Florida State. Edgeron Cooper.
Mahogany.
Mahogany, guard in the third. So those are your 2 third-round picks. I don't know what the linebacker thing, again, like I know some guys are listed as linebacker. They kind of play on the edge. I don't want to just look at linebacker and be like, bad. I'm not a fan of it. I don't know too much about Cooper. So, but again, I like the pick so far. I mean, Charles Smith-Wade, cornerback. Yeah. Jasheen Davis, edge at a Wake Forest.
I thought that was Kingsley. I thought that was the Kingsley, Penei Sewell cousin Kingsley.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly,
it looks familiar. I'm like, oh, that's why.
Honestly, I like this one too. And you got assets. Like, yeah, that's a Brad Holmes special there. So
yeah, I like it.
What was the grade on that one?
A-.
He got an A- on his.
Yeah, I don't
straightforward.
hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all.
Definitely a W. Especially if you get TJ Tampa at 34 to start off a draft. 2-3 years, you'd think he'd be a first-round pick. He reminds me, I already said it to you guys, but he reminds me a lot of Xavier Howard. Xavier Howard, second-round pick. Xavier Howard, 6'2", I want to say like 203 pounds. TJ Tampa's 6'1", 200 pounds, both Big 12. Xavier Howard played at Baylor. TJ Tampa obviously playing at Iowa State, and they have a lot of similarities. So I think he's gonna pan out perfectly fine in the NFL, my opinion.
So the last one we got is from Cody Reed. And Cody sent us his. He added in this mock draft was weird. He said that Cooper DeJean went before Jaden Daniels. So there's a lot of things that don't make sense. But here's his I guess the picks kind of do make sense. I don't see anything egregious. It's only 3 rounds. So this is what he has. Ennis Rakestraw Jr. at 29. And again, whether you like him or not, they take a corner. Okay. I don't mind. I wonder who was there. I wish
that's where I was going to go.
Too. But regardless, Dominic Pooney, I think Punny.
That's another guy got some noise because he's athletic, I guess. I haven't watched it, but he's like whenever I'm like editing stuff up and I have mock drafts on in the background, every mock draft they bring him up.
And they got the defense. I mean, you got corner, a tackle, defensive line, and guard. Yeah, I don't mind this one either, to be honest. I don't. I know Rakestraw's at the PFF big board. He's 27. They got him at 29, so it's about right to PFF, I guess.
Do you know what I'm noticing a lot with these first day we're doing mock drafts and talking to Scott? I mean, there's just no defensive ends in the draft. I'm starting to get convinced you're going to have to trade or go get one in free agency. There's nothing that's going to help you at where you're at unless you like really trade up like a Jared Verse. But like I'm at the point to where it's like I don't trust drafting a D end. Like no one's been taking one.
Yeah, and that's even what Nick said the other day. He said D end is so slim. He said like guys like Chop Robinson are going to drop more than people would expect, and he's one of the more highly touted guys that's coming out at that position. So yeah,
it's interesting. We're learning.
Yeah, I see this here. Lions fan syndicate. Thank you for the $2. We appreciate you. He says, "Are you guys too worried about next season?"
Shout out Lions fan syndicate, by the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand. Are you guys too worried about next?
You maybe worried about next year. I'm not worried at all. We're going to win a Super Bowl next year.
No, I'm not.
What?
I'm not worried about next season, Lions fan syndicate. I'm worried about not worried, but I'm intrigued about this offseason because the offseason dictates my confidence level for next season. I'm still confident, but we'll see, man. I just want free agency to open up. I want the draft to get going, so we kind of. You get to see really where this team is and who they add. But no, I'm not nervous or scared about next season. I'm actually excited. I can't wait for football to get back. I just can't. We'll of course, for people asking too about our mock draft, we're going to do on Monday. I think how we're going to do it too, guys. I think what would be better is if we each did our own mock and we went through each of our own mock instead of doing one together. So it's like we get Gentry's opinion, Lucas and Booner and my opinion. We get different. We'll explain why we did that specific thing or whatever it is.
Love it.
Okay.
And so we'll do that Monday. We'll start doing that Mondays, and then Fridays we'll do the fan mock drafts. But I think this one, guys, I'll give it a W. I'm not a huge fan of Rakestraw. It's really, to me, it's the injuries. He's had injuries, and especially if you have the fact that we even say that, it's like Brad loves the injuries. He
does, but he does.
I know. I get it. Some players
traded up 20 picks and I don't hate J-Mo obviously, but he traded up 20 picks to get a wide receiver with a torn ACL. And I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying Brad does not care about injuries. It seems like.
No, I got you. Vision Stealth. Thank you for the $2. Says, what do y'all think of Dwight McGlothern, cornerback? That's a name.
Hey, if I would have watched him, I would know because I would remember that name. I'm gonna pull Scott. I do not know.
Yeah, he plays at Arkansas. I'm trying to see what he went to LSU for 2 years. LSU for 2 years and then transferred to Arkansas, and he's had 7 interceptions the last 2 years, 16 pass deflections in the last 2 years, and a couple forced fumbles. He's 6'2", 188. Man, just not watching tape, Vision Stealth, I like the size immediately. 6'2", 188. I want to dive more into him specifically. I'm glad you brought him up to me because I want to get deep in just the cornerback class. There's so much guys. He's ranked, let me see, as a prospect. I want to make sure I get this right. Just give people some context. What's funny? What happened?
That guy up north said he's pulling Key and Peele names out now.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I'll dive into
Michael Key, man.
Yeah, I'll dive into Dwight at some time.
He's a part of the Booner path.
I do.
Confirmed.
But yeah,
Chef
what's up?
Mind.
No,
Chef said, Lucas, shut your goddamn mouth, your whore mouth with that J-Mo.
Yeah, I'm a J-Mo supporter.
And then he also said,
shut your whore mouth.
Forgot the pause in there. Shut your whore mouth. Jesus, man.
Brutal. This is what he was saying, Jeff.
Like the size, want to dive. Oh, okay, yeah. That's
Jeff
me.
just gets going. Jeff has no like,
Hey,
no.
hey,
fear
hey,
for-
just a second.
I'm not even gonna say that
Jeff?
either.
that's me. That's me.
It is
That's
you.
me. I appreciate you. I appreciate the accountability, Chef. I do.
Yeah, Jeff. Let's
so-
talk about accountability, buddy.
And P
Should
says,
we?
"Twinkle there."
Should we?
You would love to do that, wouldn't you, Boone?
I would love to talk accountability with you. Yes.
Oh my God.
See
No.
what the chat has to say about it.
ETN
Yeah.
says Jeff has had the most pause moments ever. Yeah.
Oh, by
it's not
far,
even
everything that he
close.
says. Everything he says.
It's just I don't.
I'm gonna
Even
put
like
it this way.
right now, he's thinking about what he's gonna say.
Yeah.
And he will
Yeah.
still say something that has to have a pause afterwards.
The amount of shows I've done with Jeff, and like he starts to like say something, and then on a break or something, he's like thinking about like I don't even know, like I can't even talk because like it's just like it's natural for him. It's natural.
What do you mean during a break? What do you?
Dude,
what are
I've heard you be
saying?
like
What's
I've
going on during a break?
heard you like walk through like trying to like you like trying to say something. You're like, all right, I have to slow down right now. Like I have to really think about all this. Like that happens all the time to you. To where like you get going and you say too many pause things and then you try and slow down and you're like I have to think about it's just it's so funny, dude. It's one of the more funny
Yeah.
things. I've never met someone who can say so many pause things and then like think about it and still do it. Like it's unbelievable.
Oh no, God!
Just pulls up a comment. He goes, enough of that. Enough of that. Anyways.
That one's funny though. That one's funny. They got to come to the D. I do remember saying that one. Because it
What
was
did you
true.
say the
They had
one
home field
time, too?
advantage. Was I wrong? They're coming to the D like Detroit. Jeez, you guys are
That
sick.
one's not that bad. You've had some worse ones.
Oh, you've had some bad ones, yeah.
Yeah, he's had some really bad ones.
Oh my gosh.
Dude,
I was your TV for,
there's
like,
no
7,
there's
8
no
months,
like
man.
oh like you have. It's
Let's
a
get the
fact.
mailbag, man.
Drop those questions, baby.
I
Drop
really got to think before I say, sir. I mean,
We literally, it was to the point where we could clip you and play it on shows.
That's
like,
all I used
probably
to
could
do.
have got hundreds of clips.
please don't do that. Please. You know who else has a lot of pause moments? Is Maz. Maz has
Oh,
so
yeah, he
many.
doesn't-
Oh,
he
he
doesn't
has the
realize.
worst one of all
He
time.
doesn't
man.
even know though.
Yeah. Pause. What are we
doesn't.
pausing?
I think Maz has the worst one of all time.
I think Maz was like, "These kids, they keep coming. These kids
That
keep
one.
coming." Like, we're like Maz. Like, what do
They
you?
won't stop coming.
That was the worst
Whoa,
one of all
whoa.
time, I think.
Whoa, Maz. Let's see. Eduardo said he'll start us off. Mailbag. If we met up, what are we drinking?
I go tequila. It's usually the direction I head.
Give me a Miller Lite.
Hey, what you got called out, Mike? You see that? Yeah.
That's
Hey,
fair. That's all
yeah.
fair.
Hey,
That's all
ETN
fair.
has
That was
the-
probably my worst one ever, and I was trying to
That was-
explain some shit. So
he
that was
slipped up.
that was
And
brutal.
the
You were
timing
literally
of it, too.
explaining. You were explaining a pause moment, and you did.
And how you were the only one that didn't do it. And then
I
you
know.
started talking.
That was classic, though. Good shit.
I love
We gotta
this.
find that clip. Was that the first episode? Like all four of us?
It might have
Yeah, I
been.
think it
First
was.
or
We
second, I
gotta
think it
find
was.
that and post that for sure.
That's a good
Just to
one.
have.
Yeah, I'm more for me. I'm the only thing I'm not a huge fan of. Like I'll have some depending on the setting, but I don't really like bourbon. I'm not a huge bourbon guy. Whiskey.
Don't hate it.
No wonder you and
Yeah,
Neil
like
never
that's
got
like me.
along.
I don't hate it, but I
My
don't,
Neil hates
don't
you.
love it. Yeah, that's
Put
why
some hair in
me
your
and Neil-
nuts.
I'll have any other liquor. I'm not a huge
Just give me like a
Vodka.
Miller Lite. I'll be
Vodka
good.
or beer.
yeah.
I'm not a big vodka guy.
Well,
Give me an Oberon and call it a day.
hey, Dark Flame drinking Jameson and ginger ale right now. I do know a lot of people that drink Jameson and ginger ale. It's like a common thing.
Michigan's
just
so
don't-
weird with their ginger ale, man.
I love ginger ale, man. I
See,
like
like,
favorite
it's
drink.
so weird. Like no one in Ohio drinks ginger ale.
We always have some in my house here. There's
Well,
always ginger ale.
Like Verner's, like ooh,
Whoa, chill.
tastes like static water.
Burners is fire.
Yeah,
well,
Verner's is. Are you kidding me?
What are we doing here?
Hey,
I'm
King
not
Horse.
a Verner's fan whatsoever.
He's
I
a
think-
Toledo
I think
guy.
the
He's a
people- I
Toledo
think-
guy.
Yeah, I think the
Drink
people in
sewer
Toledo are
water.
drinking something else. Yeah, they're
I mean,
drinking.
yeah, it's
something
not
else.
Verner's. I can promise you that. I'll drink the Toledo tap water over Verner's.
Oh my gosh, here we go. No wonder. Never mind.
By the way, vodka water.
What?
Hey.
What?
That's the move. Telling you, put a lemon in it.
It's elite.
That's the
He's
drink.
right. And it's actually
Doesn't
like,
tastes like anything. You don't get hungover.
yep.
Elite move.
And there's like no like it's I don't, like hell. It's healthy. It's a healthier option. Like you're not getting all the crap with it, like you said.
I don't know.
What?
Nothing. Never mind. I was just thinking. I'm over here thinking to myself right now.
What are you thinking, Boone? What are you thinking?
No. I'm
Look at
just
this
reading
one.
comments, man.
Mailbag is the work culture at Woodward as bad as it seems from the outside.
I would say this.
No,
I love all the people over there. Shout out Maz. Shout out the boys, man. I love all the boys over there.
Yeah, I think it's like I don't want to use the phrase. It's like any other business. Like I definitely don't want to use that. But the people in that building, the people on shows, most people on shows, are great people.
The behind the scenes people, best people in the world. I love
behind
all
the
of
scenes,
them.
like the actual employees. About 95%.
Yeah,
are great people.
The best part about Woodward is 100% the people in the back, and they are actually the ones that make that shit go around. And no one knows, no one knows that. But without those 3-4 people in the back, that company wouldn't even be a thing.
The best people in the world, man. I love all of them.
Absolutely. All right,
Shout out
J2
the boys.
Mailbag. Do you guys think the Lions really pick at 29?
Negative.
No, I don't.
I think there's like a better chance of them moving up or back, one of the two, and staying at 20.
I still think he's going to make a first-round pick. I'll just leave it at that.
32.
Yeah, I think trading up or trading back is way more likely than them staying put. So, ATN says he starts to come, then he pulls out Troy Aikman camera for the year. Did he actually say that? Jesus.
Oh,
man.
bro, Troy Aikman's another one.
Yeah, he's bad.
Him and Chris Collinsworth. Chris Collinsworth is terrible with it. There's so many times where it's just like, dude,
now, here's the guy.
You don't even realize what you're saying. Like, it's just bad. Like, I think he's a good commentator, but there's so many moments here. Like, did he just say that? Like, you could have said anything else.
Hey, Justin Gentry says the Black Cherry Vernons, though. That Black Cherry Vernons.
That doesn't sound that bad.
Vernors.
Yeah, no, it's fire. It's good.
Yeah, that Black Cherry Vernors. Yeah, I've never had it. Is it elite?
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. I don't know if they have it like year round. I want to say it's just like Christmas time. They kind of keep it until it sells out. But what does he mean?
5% shit back.
No, it's more like, it's like one of those shits where it's like it's one shit, but it breaks into like 3 or 4 parts, but it's still the same shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not doing that. Like that's not what the platform I want this platform to be about, is like, taking shots. But again, we're still friends with most people there. So, and then you see about people in the chat supporting us. I love the guys. We all love them. So
the fellas, baby.
That's nothing fake.
Love them all.
I King Horse says, what do you guys think Easy and Spenny's 40 time would be? 40 times, man.
Spenny right now, I think would be like I think he would have a decent one, to be honest.
Spenny could probably run like a 4.9 to 5.
Yeah, I would. Spenny might be able to beat like me. He's in good shape.
I feel like Spenny, he'd be sneaky. You might be able to move, man.
Even
I haven't
though
seen him in a couple weeks.
He's been slimming up, and he's been getting more in shape. He was still athletic before that too, so he was still an athlete. So I mean, he's only just helping his cause that much more.
No, he swam, right? He swam.
Now Easy. I don't know what Easy would run.
He's got a bad foot, man. He's got a bad foot.
Yeah, he's gone through some injuries, so I can't really judge.
I don't know what he would run.
Yeah, I think Easy would go undrafted. I think just off the combine. Just
you drop out of the combine.
But if you would have run in the combine, that's for sure.
He's not participating in the combine, but if you sign him as an undrafted free agent, he's
going to combine.
He's going to give it his all.
It'll be like what's his name? Isaiah Buggs. Like,
what's up, Mike? What'd you say?
the tape of Booner cooking Jeff.
Like it's unexistent. None of us can find it.
What do you mean?
I can't find
throwing the football around.
I can't find it anywhere.
Why does everybody? This is what
Can't find it.
Why does
Hey,
everybody?
I think he deleted it. I think he's
Lucas
the one
got
that
it,
deleted
dude.
it.
Hold on. See, Mike
Jeff
went there,
cooked
so I'm going
Lucas
there.
too.
No.
so.
Shut the fuck. Hold on. Shut up for a second.
Cooked
You went there,
him.
so I'm gonna go here. Okay.
Cooked him.
I love how the first thing you brought up is how I got cooked. Guess what, buddy? I got tape of me doing something too, but you didn't bring that up.
I just said that. I literally just said
we all
that.
You just
cooked each other.
Booner
I
cooking me.
said Jeff got back at Lucas.
You just kind of.
I will say this. I will say this.
Speaking of combine,
Real-
we got the film.
Real quick.
All right, just make
The
sure.
film, there is film, and Lucas will agree with this too because we've talked about this. There's film of me cooking Lucas and then dropping the pass, like in a route, bop, dropping the pass, and he even admitted that I got him. Now there's also film that is lost right now, and I think Jeff had it on his phone and deleted it of me cooking Jeff, going up, I think, catching it, bang, and it's just film is gone. There's none of it. I've
Got erased.
Gone. I think we have the one of Lucas somewhere, but the one with Jeff is me cooking him is gone.
It's
Yeah,
good stuff too. Valuable
no,
film.
Mike
was 2 for 2.
Mike was slanging it. He had the cannon, dude.
Good quarterback.
Mike would be our QB.
Bro.
Pause. Offense. Number Iafrate for saying Gentry was slinging it. 15-yard penalty. Repeat. First down.
What I do? Come on.
Yeah, this is
I knew it was coming.
He said anything.
I didn't. Oh, you guys are sickos, man. You ever heard that? Like, oh, that quarterback, man, he's slinging it. Like, you know, he's got it. Like,
Got a
come on.
cannon. He's got a cannon. He's got a howitzer.
Oh man.
Got a
he's got
strong
a Drake. Come on.
Bro.
All right, Booner.
That's
Well,
out of
he's
time.
got one up by
That's
Booner.
a
He's
bit
got one up
far.
by
That's
Booner.
Hey, that man has a drizzy on him.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Man's over
Show the
there
hair,
looking like
Boone. Show the hair.
The
Show
man's
the
over there
hair.
looking like Aubrey Graham.
Show the hair, Boone.
I've got this new earpiece too, boys. See?
Yeah, I like
Let's
it. You look
go.
official.
You're
That's what
professional.
Louis Riddick wears, Boone.
This is what Louis Riddick wears?
Yeah.
All right, I'm Louis Riddick now.
No, you'll never be.
Well,
And I do. I keep seeing a lot of people comment this. We need a crunch time combine. I think if we do that, we're cooking on something potentially. I don't know if we could say, but potentially being an Indy combine weekend. I think we could do something like go out at Lucas Oil Stadium out on their grass and do a combine out there.
I'll do a 40 next to Roma Duze.
I mean,
I think we go out there and we just film a whole combine on that Friday or Saturday of the draft or Thursday.
They see me throwing the ball, they might try and fuck around and pick me up. So
That would be one of the greatest. That would be one of the greatest.
Booner,
there.
if you want to talk about being a long snapper for the Detroit Lions, that's your opportunity. We go
Oh,
there.
Okay,
We sneak into the
Deal.
combine. Yep.
I'm coming, Scott Daly.
bro, Mike did not just. Did no one even hear that, man? Like, that man confidently looked in the camera and said, "If they catch me like throwing it, man, like
Hey,
they might mess around." And
There
tell
you go,
me."
Jeff. Hey,
no
you corrected
telling.
yourself, Jeff. I'm proud of you. I
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah, I gotta
So
think.
he's the Thunderdome.
We that if anyone can help us with that one.
Hey, Gentry.
You're too small.
Oh yeah, no, 100%, guys. I'm,
Oh, you Gentry.
I'm
Hey,
Kyler Murray.
You might be the
Yeah,
shortest
Kyler
quarterback in
Murray,
NFL history.
Hey, I'm
I
still
think-
better than Kyler.
You're shorter
Yeah,
than him, right?
That's
Hey,
facts.
No, I'm taller than Kyler.
All right.
MP, great night, boys. Have a great weekend. Smell you dorks later, man. Appreciate you, MP, for
Shout out.
tuning
Shout
in,
out,
man.
MP,
and
man.
supporting us.
WMU.
That is big time. Xavier D says,
Oh, shit, my bad, Jeff. That's on me.
"Hey, I King Horror. What do you? No, hey, I do got a helmet though. I mean, hell, I do got a head of hair. No,
We
I'm
might have
trying
to have King on and just have him roast us all. Just the roast of Crunch Time featuring King, and he can just go
Yeah,
at it.
he keeps shooting his shots. I mean, he definitely does.
He's
Xavier
so
D,
funny though.
he says, "I'll take the under for none of you finishing the combine." Well,
I
That's fair,
probably
that's fair.
won't. I might have like the worst times of all time. I'll do it though. I don't care.
I'm
I
finishing.
definitely won't finish.
I'm gonna run that shuttle, that 3-cone.
he also said
You're not gonna know the difference between me and Lad McConkey.
he said he'll take the over and pulled hamstrings.
That's fair. That over
might-
is
I might-
definitely hitting.
On my Achilles. Done.
Achilles.
Achilles.
I like the hat, Booner.
Hey,
Thank
to be
you.
fair though, Lucas would finish the combine.
Zach
sure
says,
the only one.
so is there any Lions news at all? We just the last hour and 40 minutes. You can go back. We talked about everything. We're just doing mailbag. We're actually about to end the show here. So Zach's, if you want to go back and watch, we had Scott Bischoff on, former scout, discussed the draft. We talked potential cut candidates, rumored guys that could be cut. Talked about their draft class. So all that stuff's the beginning of the show, and you can rewatch it if you'd like to. So regardless.
Appreciate it, Zach.
We do appreciate every single one of you, man, for supporting us, men and women, of course. We do. I think it's huge. I'd love doing this with you guys. Like, it's so much fun. You guys are my best friends. So until
that was
Monday,
nice. That was nice, bro. We love you.
You know why?
Are you talking to them or us? I thought you were talking to us.
No, I am. You guys.
Oh, I love you.
The chat's our extension of the show. You know, the chat is part of the show.
And real quick too, if you guys haven't yet, make sure you guys hit subscribe and as well hit the like button. That helps push the show out. And when the stream ends too, if you guys comment on it too, that helps push the show out, help us out as well. So appreciate you guys. You guys like
dude, I can't take you seriously with that backwards, bro. That is elite.
You're elite.
Put it to the side, bro.
Have a good weekend, you beautiful bastards.
Yeah.
Coach Walk, great show.
We'll go solo cam one more time.
King Horse, ETN, Sarah, of course. Everyone, Sarah for submitting the mock draft. Just leave it on Boone. We'll just close it out here. See you guys Monday.
Turn the visor to the side, Boone. Turn the visor to the side.
We'll be back Monday. Mock draft Monday. Have a great weekend. Content will be out on the weekend. Look at that beautiful man. That's the last thing you're going to see before it ends.
Love you guys a ton.
Have a great weekend.
Have
Deuces.
a weekend.